Welcome everyone to Haven of Horror. As always, I am subject. I have Robert, Barbara Wild, and
Hello.
Noah Cooper O with
I'm
Yep,
making
us.
Cooper.
Yeah, he's the one
I got to be
that's gonna
somebody.
ruin the whole thing. Uh, how's it going? You guys ready to watch Night of the Living Dead?
I am.
Oh yeah,
This often
Um,
unseen little cult gem.
little
yeah, no, I don't know if
underground.
you guys have ever heard of this, but it's from this indie director George Romero. I don't think he went on to do anything else. Um,
Certainly nothing else in the zombie subgenre.
yeah, it's a shame this failed because I really do think there is like merit to this as a genre or a subgenre. Um, so this is Robert and I have the criterion because we're the cool kids on this commentary. Um, Great artwork. However, I always think of the VHS cover my dad had that has like the woman screaming in like the cemetery.
Oh, interesting. I haven't seen that one.
Um,
Well, and the kind of one of the big things to know about this movie is its public domain status. So I'm sure there are many
yeah,
VHS releases of this picture.
I
You
found
have
it.
one of 27.
Yeah, so this is the one that my dad had. I'll put it in our group chat because I remember wanting to watch this movie for the longest time, but like the cover scared me. Um, I don't know who that woman is supposed to be.
Nope.
Hmm.
Well, it's like artwork spliced with just a still image from the
Still,
from the picture.
Yeah,
That's cool though. It's fun. I like the vibe.
yeah. Um, so before we get started, in all seriousness, obviously this is the start of a trilogy. Because I kind of consider the stuff that he did later its own thing. Like it's not. This is still a trilogy: Night, Dawn, and Day. Where does this rank for you in the trilogy? Because I have to be honest, this is probably my least favorite. That's just because all three of them are so fucking good.
it's blasphemy though.
Is it?
It's blasphemy. You can't say that.
Sorry.
I mean, so I've always said that Dawn is my favorite, but some days I do prefer this just for how more small scale and intimate it is, and simple it is. And more for just that like old school horror vibe with the black and white. They should not ruin this movie ever by colorizing it. Not that anyone's done that. But no, I mean, I think I would put this at my
Wait, we're
second
not
favorite.
watching the color version on DVD.
We are not watching the Ted Turner color version. I mean, you
And
can if you want. I think it will sync up, but why would you do that?
Or are we watching the 35th anniversary where they shot new footage with the returning actor and he's like
Oh,
35 years older?
oh
Do
shit,
you?
that's what I have.
Because Noah, you know about that, right?
Yeah, you told me about that.
Okay.
That's really silly.
Well, and my favorite part about that is of all the actors to bring back, it's the random zombie guy from the beginning.
well, it's because you got to see his origin.
Yeah.
It's the special
Yeah,
edition of Night of the Living Dead. It expands upon it. It gives you more story.
Ah, Jesus.
because if there's anything that's vital to the plot that we need to know, it's where the zombies came from.
And as always, if you haven't noticed from the thumbnail or the title, this is part of our ongoing remake and original commentary series. There were plenty of remakes to choose from, but we went with the only one that's worth watching, which is the 1990 remake. I have seen far too many of those remakes, Robert. Um, I have seen Night of the Living Dead 3D with Sid Haig.
A guy, and that one I hadn't heard about until recently. I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
That is
And
a
I
remake
know,
in name only.
okay, and I know there was an animated one that came out recently-ish that people were just like, "Why?" It's
Yeah.
so
Okay. So what's
I've never seen
crazy
it.
is that's like the second or third of the animated one of these. because there's like a CGI animated one that has like
Oh god.
Tony Todd and Danielle
Oh.
Harris.
Oh,
I
weird.
thought
I
that
don't.
that was the one Robert was just talking about.
No, he's talking
No,
about
I
that
saw a
Night of
TV
the
one.
Animated Dead or whatever that
Yes.
came out a few years ago. It
Oh,
came
I
and
thought that
went.
was the
Nobody
same
cared.
movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you guys seen
Wow.
any stills of that movie?
No, just like a poster or something.
Yeah, that movie
But weird,
came
that
and
also
went.
so that
Uh,
also has Tony Todd?
no.
No, the other one has Tony Todd.
Yeah, the
Okay.
other one has
Just
Tony Todd.
Oh,
I
The
can't
only
keep up.
person,
There's too many animated ones.
the new one has Josh Duhamel, Katie Sackhoff, and Catherine Isabel. And
Okay.
it looks, this isn't interesting to anyone except the three of us, but it looks like that.
yep. Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, it has never come to a streaming service. Blu-rays may exist. I know the movie came out. I don't know where to watch it.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say earlier that's interesting that Tony Todd is in 2 remakes because he's in the live action 90s
Yes.
one.
Which,
Yes.
coincidentally, it is a pain in the ass to find sometimes.
Sometimes.
So
It's
the
on
one,
YouTube currently.
so the second one that he's in, the one I was talking about, that's also animated, is Night of the Living Dead: Darkest Dawn, also known as Night of the Living Dead Origins, also known as Night of the Living Dead Origins 3D.
Oh.
Oh. So
And
many
he,
movies.
and not only is Tony Todd in it, he's playing Ben again.
It's awesome.
Oh, I'm sure that looks like shit.
Oh. Well, do we want to get into the picture?
Yeah, here
We,
in
we could
just.
talk. We could talk remakes of this film
Yeah.
all day.
I
Oh
think it's time
dear
to start the
God.
picture. Uh-oh.
Okay, this is the last thing I will send you guys before we get started because, dear God, this is Night of the Living Dead. Whatever the fuck I just said. Darkest
Oh,
Dawn.
this is the CGI one. What the hell?
Oh Jesus!
It looks like
It's
a
a PS1
PS1 game.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Let's get started. This is 1968's Night of the Living Dead. Is everybody
That's
at
right.
timestamp 0?
I am.
Yes, I'm ready.
1 second. Sorry, I'm using my Xbox this time because I didn't want to switch inputs. And it's been so long since I watched a movie on Xbox, I don't remember how this works. Alright. Timer in 3, 2, 1, go. So I think I do see Dawn before this. Maybe. No, I definitely see.
did.
No, I definitely see Night first because I don't see the original Dawn until after Snyder's remake comes out. Because I saw Snyder's remake in theaters and it scared the shit out of me. But my dad, because that was the only one I think my dad had. I don't know if Dawn was still hard to get at that point, or was hard to get at that point already, or if he just only had Night. But I watched Night because my horror experience as a teenager was whatever my dad would let me borrow. But yeah, we were talking about this off screen. So you have the Blu-ray and I have the 4K. Unfortunately, there is not a huge difference because there's no HDR on this, which I think is a shame. It would have at least enriched some of the color, or black and white in this case.
The contrast.
So it's not a great upgrade, but I'm still glad I did because I do like to have the best format. And if you're like Noah, a peasant who hasn't bought a copy yet, I would, and you have the means to play it, I would just go ahead and get this one.
Hey, this really grainy YouTube upload is fine for me.
See, this transfer is nice and crisp. There's no obnoxious grain.
Yeah, this is one of those great restorations of a film that really needed it because with it, for anyone who doesn't know the backstory, they there was a fuck up with the title of this movie with the copyright because originally it was called Night of Anubis, and then the
Terrible
producers or
title.
studio or whatever it was like no, and then so they but at some point for whatever reason, I guess the final cut of this movie still was Night of Anubis before they changed it. So as a result, this film under its title Night of the Living Dead instantly went into copyright or went out of copyright and was public domain. So for decades, this was a public domain movie where anyone could put it out and sell it, and Romero didn't get a cent for it after its initial release, which is really unfortunate.
It's unfortunate.
But I love this opening. You know, these actors aren't amazing or anything, but the dialogue is feels very realistic. I like the banter between this brother and sister.
Mhm.
And I think this guy playing Johnny, I think he's one of the producers.
Oh, okay. I mean, we'll get
The
into it
one
in the remake, but they cast Bill Moseley in that role, which is strange.
Yeah, but it's fun. But then this guy, though, I think is the producer who goes on to help develop Return of the Living Dead, the unofficial sequel to this movie. So this movie has a
Oh,
weird history of just splintering off into different
John
franchises. You
Russo,
got,
is it?
or am I, unless I'm thinking of I think this guy's Russell Striner, but I
Hold
think he
on.
was involved
Hold on. I'm
or
pulling
had
it
like a
up.
story credit.
Um,
John, you're supposed to know these things.
you know, it's surprising. Like, I know a lot about the making of Return of the Living Dead, and I know some about Dawn of the Dead. I don't know much about the making of this film. Uh,
Yeah, I'd like to
Okay,
learn more.
so we were both right. It was both John Russo and Russell Striner. Russell Striner
oh,
is the guy
okay.
playing Johnny here. They both
Okay.
developed Return of the Living Dead. So yeah, it's just really interesting how you get two completely different franchises out of this movie from
Well,
different
that's
people.
because, well, that's because John Russo and Romero fundamentally disagreed about the direction to take the franchise.
Hmm.
That's why Russo takes the Of the Living Dead title. Movie title rights are so strange to me. Like,
Yep.
oh, I get the Of the Living Dead. You can have the time of day and just name it Of the Dead. So this is interesting. So there's a guy named Billy Cardill in this. I believe he's probably one of the TV presenters. His daughter would go on to star in Day of the Dead.
Oh, there you
Oh.
go.
And I think, funnily enough, I hated Day of the Dead the first time I watched it. It's now become my second favorite of the
Oh
trilogy.
wow.
I love that movie now.
I was gonna say, yeah, you love that movie. Um, I know we were kind of talking about where this one falls in the our rankings of the trilogy, and I guess my ranking is Dawn, Night, and Day. Day is my
Oh,
least favorite, but it's still really good.
the Day has like the best human villain.
He's great, yeah, and it
Noah
has
just
the
isn't
best
with him running
effects.
that monkey farm. No, I mean Day of the
Yeah,
Dead is Tom Savini's masterpiece. Like,
Yeah.
if you
it
ever
has the
doubt
best
Tom
effects.
Savini, just go watch Day of the Dead.
I guess I just don't find it as rewatchable as the other two, but it's also the one I'm least familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well,
uh,
and I feel like that's a movie that's been reevaluated because it was hated when it came out.
yeah.
People were like, "Why isn't this as fun as Dawn of the Dead?" Because it's a different movie.
'Cause it's miserable.
Yeah, I do think Dawn of the three has the best ensemble when it's just that group of four people. All that stuff's
Yes.
great. I do have the same ranking that Noah has. Dawn's my favorite. Then I'd put this one, and then Day is at the bottom for me. But Day does
Stuck
have
with a
those really
couple of
great elements.
frauds.
I don't know. Yeah,
Eh,
Day has great gore, great human villain, best zombie in Bub. The
Yeah,
Bub.
scientist's great. I like the lead girl. My biggest problem with Day is there's just a lot of repeating from Dawn. Uh, whereas this and Dawn feel like two very distinctly different movies. Though Day certainly has its qualities that make it stand out. Like it is a
Yeah,
great
but I
film.
mean, come on. Jamaican Flyboy is great. Okay.
He's great, but when that movie ends with our heroes getting in another helicopter and going away, I'm like, okay, this starting to get a little familiar.
See him land on that island. Any
But
island.
So, but here we
Um,
have the
the
very
zombie.
important first zombie that gets its origin.
oh, it's not fair to the movie because it is of the time. But I find what drags this movie down for me a bit is Barbara. She's really fucking annoying in this movie.
Yeah, she goes from being our final girl to just kind of being in the background.
Yeah, and I mean, of all the characters, I think the only one that I like is Ben.
Yeah, Ben's great.
Because he's the only one that's like getting stuff done.
Yeah, Cooper's too busy fighting, and then those two farmhands are just dumb.
Yeah, I guess I have kind of mixed feelings on how Barbara's handled in this original movie, just because like
I
I
will say
think
that is a great shot where it's just like the zombie leaning over him.
yeah.
So
Um,
one thing that's always confused me about Johnny's death, I guess in both versions, it's he dies from a head injury, but then still comes back as a zombie.
It's because we haven't. So what? Something that's interesting about this movie is that Romero has not fleshed out the lore. All of the stuff that you're thinking of, the bites, shoot him in the head, that's all in Dawn. Not, most of that's not here.
Some of that's in this movie.
In this movie, it's mostly fire. They're afraid of fire, which also never comes back in this.
Right.
Which never comes back in the other
No,
two.
but I think you're pretty. Though, but there is a specific line about you got to get him in the head to kill him.
Okay, that might be in here, but I know for a fact the bite thing is not in this. That doesn't come in until Dawn.
It's more of a. It's a bigger presence in Dawn, but I think you're forgetting Cooper's daughter because she's bitten and sick, and then turns into a zombie.
Right, but they never say that it has to be the bite. The bite is the only thing.
That's fair. Yeah,
that hasn't been established. As far as you are aware, if you're just watching this, you could. It's like the Walking Dead, where anything if you die, you can turn.
Yeah, that is funny. That does, in its way, does feel more Walking Dead than any other zombie thing, where it's just no, they're all infected. They're all going to become a zombie when they die.
Because if you remember, also this is the movie that hints that it's a radioactive satellite that fell to Earth.
Of course,
we never bring that back.
No,
but to be fair, I think that's just because Romero doesn't actually care like what caused the outbreak. And him and Kirkman are like the only ones that get it. It doesn't matter what caused the outbreak. The story is in what happens next.
Mm-hmm. But even though this movie's 1968, it still feels very 50s. You have there's some of that 50s B movie quality that kind of carries over to this, and that's one of them.
And if you remember, they're not zombies in this movie. They call them ghouls.
Right. Yes, they're never called zombies.
And you kind of get some of the stuff that like he'll touch on later in the day. Like these things use tools and like have some basic intelligence. And then in Dawn, they're kind of just eating machines. And then in Day, it's like, well, maybe they could be human again.
Yeah, Romero talked about that, where it's like, oh yeah, I didn't even call them zombies or think of them as that, because zombies, of course, traditionally were like voodoo things, like they're a bit more supernatural, kind of like witch doctor type stuff, like folklore, those things of just the literal idea of just a living corpse. Obviously, Romero didn't invent. These just started getting referred to that at some point, and then he just ran with it, because in Dawn of the Dead he does refer to them as zombies a couple times. So at some point in the decade between this and Dawn, like that just catches on and people are calling them
it's interesting. Has there ever been another case of where a guy just comes in with an idea and it just kind of replaces an already existing mythology? Like we don't ever do the voodoo zombie thing again. Anything that's a zombie movie, it is the Romero zombie.
Right. And then I get, well, what's funny, I guess the other example I'd say would be what you referred to as infected, when we do fast zombies, like 28 days later stuff. And they argued, Noah, you weren't here for this, but when we reviewed the Crazies, the original Romero film, I was like, oh, he kind of invented the modern fast zombie too, or like the rage virus infected idea. Like that all comes from
Oh,
that movie. And so he kind of did both.
interesting.
And it's a shame because I think The Crazies is kind of one of his more forgotten films. I'd never heard of it until that remake. Oh
Yep.
my god,
I don't really know
the
anything about
terrifying
it. Yeah.
sound of the terrifying sight of a deer head.
Oh God.
It's
One of
gonna
those cheesy ones.
whip its head and start laughing.
If only. But back to what you were saying though, John, about like replacing another mythology or whatever. Because what's ironic about that is Romero's riffing on is less like the witch doctor type zombies. What he's actually more riffing on are the creatures from the I Am Legend book,
Yeah.
and there those creatures were referred to as vampires because that was just kind of the closest approximate, even though they're very different things. But the idea of you get bitten by a thing and then you're turned into this other thing. So now when we readapt I Am Legend, we're like, okay, well these things are now closer to zombies than they are vampires. But the zombies that we think of didn't exist yet when that book was written. So it's just this weird cycle of evolving this
It's
concept
funny
and merging
that you
things
bring that
together.
up because I've read the book, the I Am Legend book. I read it after the Will Smith movie. As I'm reading it, because it was fresh in my mind, I'm like trying to bridge the Will Smith movie and that book. And I'm like, those were vampires? What?
Yeah.
And then it's
And then
funny because when that movie's adapted into the Will Smith movie, it's the more fast zombies, not the slow lumbering ones.
yeah, like the 28 days later stuff. And then of course, but the big element that Romero invents for this is is them eating bodies. The cannibalism aspect of the horror, and of course, at one point, also the title for this movie was Night of the Flesh Eaters.
And also, I mean, that's a better title than Night of Anubis.
Mhm.
But I think with that, you're stuck in that just like cheesy B movie.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
that
we got the
that
message.
sounds a lot more like 50s B movie.
So okay, so I have a question. Not to doubt Romero's amazing writing skills. Uh, so they're completely Barbara and Johnny were completely unaware that anything was going on until they ran into that zombie guy. But that corpse had to have been up there for like days. How long were they
That's
in
a
that
good point.
car?
6 hours. 6 hour days.
It's weird because it's kind of that Star Wars: The Last Jedi thing, where one subplot is like 5 minutes after the last movie, and the other subplot is 6 months later.
Well, it's not literally that. It's also kind of Empire Strikes Back had that too, where you have like two different subplots that seem to be moving at
Well, because like Barbara's
different paces.
subplot, Barbara's like right after like day one of the infection, but like Ben and everyone else are like 3 months into the infection into this.
I think you're rounding up a bit to 3 months. I never got
I,
that vibe.
I'm rounding up a bit,
Well,
but I mean, like that body was really decayed.
eh.
Look at that.
Well, I think that was just somebody getting munched on.
I think it's just a movie.
Just a
Great
scary picture.
contribution to the discussion, Noah.
It's just a picture, and you're reading into it too deeply.
But this
We're a
is one of
YouTube
the.
channel. That's what we do here.
But
Noah, do you know how commentaries work?
No.
Oh,
oh fuck, they're going after the lights.
oh, real
Not the
quick. Sorry,
lights.
because I still had the page up for that Darkest Dawn movie. You know who plays Cooper?
Ooh.
The villain from Day of the Dead.
So
Oh, really?
Joe
Yeah,
Pilato.
Yeah, he voices Harry Cooper.
That's amazing.
We're
It's just
going
like
down to
Look out,
Dr.
Barbara.
Frankenstein.
I just love the idea that like we're gonna remake Night of the Living Dead and get a bunch of Romero alum to voice characters.
But this movie, though, being shot on the cheap, this is a very low budget movie. It's why is it in black and white? Why is it in 4:3? It's like, yeah, that's just because it was cheaper, But I think it adds to the atmosphere and feel. But I think it also, all the way till now, though, for younger people like us or even younger viewers watching, it does. If you're really into horror, this does kind of paint a false picture of what like the 60s were like in terms of film. Where if all you've seen are like Psycho and this, you just assume, oh, black and white was just still the norm. No, no, it wasn't.
No,
And we were
yeah.
mostly making color movies by the 60s. We were doing widescreen and all that. But this really colors that perception.
Um,
Yeah,
so
but
this is the
even
part of
if
the movie
it
that
was
hasn't
made
aged
in
well
black and
is the
white,
choreography. I believe
yeah,
he's really hitting that guy.
it's like a Star Trek action scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
Here's
they
the
probably
groin.
had the budget of an, I guess, Star Trek episode.
exactly.
Yeah, and I
Not a
mean,
season, just one episode.
despite them not having that big of a budget for this movie, I really do think the black and white just works. Like I think that this movie has the best atmosphere of the trilogy.
It depends on what atmosphere you're going for.
Yeah, each
I really like the old like kind of like classic horror vibe of this movie.
If I'm going just off atmosphere, I think it's day. I just love that like oppressive, like we're trapped in this military, bunker. But for anyone who doesn't know, this movie's budget was estimated between 114,000 and 125,000. So that might be less than an episode of Star Trek.
Oh yeah. No, actually, as I think about it now, some episodes of Star Trek do look a little bit more expensive than this. Not much, not by much, but specifically in the first two seasons.
Uh,
Season 3 is really cheap.
Noah, correct me on this, but this would have been around the time of TOS, right? This
yeah.
is
Just a couple years
68.
after. Yeah, just like 2 years after, because
Well,
2S is 66, I think.
yeah. So it's around when that show's ending.
Wait, now when does motion picture happen? Is that like 'cause that's not till 80s, right? The 80s.
That's not
That's
until like
79.
79 or 78.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a big gap in between TOS and motion picture.
Well,
You get that
in Dawn
shitty
of the
looking animated series.
oh, well, Dawn of the Dead, only had like a marginally bigger budget, like that didn't have big of a
There's
budget as
no
you'd
way.
expect. No, it was only like it was definitely under $1 million, I think. Which, granted, was more in $70s than today, but still, like that was still a very
So it had a
cheap
six hundred
movie.
and $40,000 budget. So not as big as I thought, but I'd still argue it's substantially bigger than 120,000.
Yeah, but it's just funny that still these movies only being made a decade apart, it still they feel like they were made decades apart. Just the
Yeah,
sensibilities, the of course the fashion, but also like the cast and everything. Like just the sensibilities from going from here to there is just such a big leap.
Yeah.
So much happened that changed this country, both in media and politics and stuff. So they just feel like they're made from worlds apart. And I think part of what gives this kind of an old school retro feel, whether it's intentional or not, is I think the music. The music in this is very old fashioned, kind of B movie ish,
yeah.
which isn't a criticism, but that does give it more of that 50s feel than what you see like in most 60s movie. And then you get to the Dawn of the Dead, which is very, and then Day of the Dead, which is very 80s.
Dawn or Day has like quadruple the budget at like 3 million.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely the most expensive looking of the three. With Dawn, it's just like they have a mall, and then you look at the zombies, and they're just like they're just like people with like face paint.
That's the most
You know,
dated
blue
I feel
people.
like people make fun of it. I love the like blue zombies. It gives it like a stylistic.
No, I like it. I prefer It's funny because I kind of prefer the zombies in Day, even though I don't like that movie as much.
I mean, the zombies in Day are just unarguably better. There's just something about the Dawn ones that are charming but stylistic.
Mhm. You could tell when Savini and those guys where they kind of put all their effort in Dawn in those very select moments of like, okay, this is where we're doing the big bit, and then Day of the Dead, that's just the entire movie.
Yeah.
Like, we have money now. No, I want that to be the movie pitch. Romero's like going to investors. Well, what do you have for this movie? We have a mall.
Yeah, we got them
Yep.
all. And that's
That's it. We got a mall.
We got them all and some face paint. I mean, to be fair, it is a big mall.
But this movie, though, even at the time, though, very impressive just in terms of camera work, and like we're always doing something with it. There's so many weird angles and shots, and the editing isn't always the best, but that is again is just part of the charm. It's part of the feel. Like you can tell there are many moments throughout this movie that feel like they're missing, coverage and don't quite have every angle, or some moments just feel kind of cobbled together in editing. But again, that just adds to the flavor of it. It's just so weird and off
I mean,
kilter.
maybe it's just me, but I've never noticed.
Yeah, there's a few jump cuts that I'm noticing here and
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, I also think very brief, but I also think there are a few shots in this movie that are just lost to time for whatever reason. Just like I'm talking like seconds of footage, nothing substantial, but just a result of it being in the a public domain and for decades.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, and Jay from Rather Media talks about this in their video on Dawn of the Dead. A lot of what makes these movies is the editing. Romero's, you know,
Mhm. And like I said, he's experimenting a lot in this one. You also see him finding his,
yeah.
because to me, on a technical level, Dawn is just such a big leap up from this one.
Well, and he's made quite a few movies in between, I imagine.
Mhm.
He's grown as a director.
Yeah, I want to say. Whoa. It's kind of sad in a way that after a certain point, the only thing he could get greenlit were zombie movies.
Mhm.
Yeah, he just kind of became known as the zombie guy. And I mean, to be
Yet
fair,
we
like,
wouldn't give him
there's.
Resident Evil. Like, what the
I
fuck?
was just about to say, yeah. To be fair, like, yeah, he's just the zombie guy at a certain point, but like, he would have been perfect for Resident Evil.
Yeah, and I'm really sad because they released that documentary about his movie, and apparently it's not very good. The documentary.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, Noah. Between this and Dawn, he's made. There's always Vanilla, Season of the Witch, The Crazies, The
the
Amusement Park, and Martin. I still got to see
And he
Martin.
and he directed I well after this though in the 80s. Yeah, he did direct Creepshow. That's kind of the other big thing he's remembered for outside of
right.
his
I like how
franchise.
I was just talking about
But
movies between Night and Dawn, and then he's like,
yeah,
"Yeah, after that, sometime after that, he directed Creepshow."
yeah. Well, because you didn't mention it earlier.
Because I wasn't talking about what he directed in the '80s. Um,
Anyway, he's directed a lot more besides zombie movies, folks.
I
Yeah.
want to see. I do want to see Martin. I'd heard they were going to release a 4K with the long rumored director's cut, which is apparently the definitive cut of that film. I don't know if that ever came out.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I've only seen like his zombie movies, so I gotta check out more of George
What a
R. R.
fake
Or
fan!
George Romero's.
Wow. Well, I mean George R. R. Martin. That's a different.
He does the ice zombies, Noah.
Yeah, I know. It's because we kept talking about his movie Martin. I got mixed up in my brain.
I have also read his book that was finished by another author
Song of
called
Ice
the
and Fire.
yes called The Living Dead, which was okay. It kind of tries to
Okay.
retroactively make everything in these movies connected. Fine.
I tried it. I can headcanon it. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's some stuff that doesn't make sense, but I don't know. I like to think that these movies are connected.
Um, and then I also want to see. Honestly, I kind of want to just watch his whole filmography because there's some of these that sound really interesting, like Monkey Shines.
Hmm,
The monkey?
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
monkey.
So
You know
here we
what?
get
Maybe
a
that's
little
what I'll
more
make my
from
project
Ben.
this year.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I
Yeah, Ben, our lead character, played by Dwayne Jones, who's really good and had a very
Dwayne Johnson.
short-lived. I said Dwayne Jones.
Yeah, The Rock is in
Uh,
this movie.
well, that's who they're going to cast in the next remake.
No, no. But yeah, very. He didn't live to be too long. He was only in his 80s when he died in the 80s. So not in a ton of movies, but those are of course the big thing he's remembered for. And he's really good. I wish he got to be in more stuff.
Yeah, he's so good in this movie. He maybe gives the best performance of the whole cast.
I
Yeah, I think
mean,
so.
not to take away from him, but that's not hard.
Right. Yeah, this movie was made on the cheap with very few actors with a ton of experience, so kind of need to know that going
I
in.
think Barbara's okay. It's just the character's not great.
Hmm.
Yeah, I also don't think she's a great actress.
Yeah, I think she's fine. It's and this is of course the thing Romero would go on to regret and try to fix with the sequels is he didn't intentionally write her as like just a traditional damsel in distress. That's just kind of what she turned into. And then in his sequels he really
Yeah.
pushed for, stronger female leads. And while I appreciate that and that certainly has its place, I do like Barbara from just a realistic perspective where it's kind of refreshing
Yeah.
getting a horror movie where one of the main characters is catatonic the whole time because they're that scared and traumatized. Like, yeah, it makes her annoying, but it also is just kind of realistic. And I don't know, it's
Well,
I
that's
different.
was
what
gonna
I
say
love in
earlier
my
that's why I
movies
have
about
mixed.
flesh eating corpses. Realism.
And I
Yeah, but it's
mean,
how you would respond in this situation.
yeah, right. And that's what I was gonna say earlier. Like that, I kind of have mixed feelings on how Barbara's portrayed in this movie because of
Mhm.
what you were saying, Robert. Like it's how a person would react in this scenario, but you know, it's not a particularly strong female character.
Right. But for me, I think the sequels and certainly the remake, which we'll get into, I think kind of balance that out though, where I can appreciate what they were doing here more because of what came later.
This goes
I
into
can
the
see where you're
more
coming from. I would say
I
my only argument against it would be I think it's better to do that with maybe a side character where she is kind of portrayed, at least at the start, as the main character, or at least your eyes
Yeah,
in.
she's kind of a fake out protagonist
Yeah.
yeah,
because Ben
Um,
like
really takes charge.
um
I think that is the one
but
thing the 90s movie has over this one. I liked her Barbara more.
well, but
Mhm.
this version kind of fits with the more like oppressively bleak, dark tone that they're going for. Um, I don't know if it completely works, but I kind of see
Ding.
what they were doing.
He's dead, Barbara. Get over it. But and of course, famously, the story goes with Dwayne Jones has been here. This was not written to be a black character. Uh, Romero wasn't really concerned with that, but when he was auditioning actors for this role, Dwayne Jones just happened to be black and happened to give just the best performance in the audition. So we hired him. He wasn't trying to make a political statement, but then that just adds to kind of the legacy of this movie. And what makes it stand out is this is 1968. It's the middle of the civil rights movement.
Well,
You can't not think about that when
Well,
you have a lead black character in this
No,
no,
I,
you can't.
and that's what
No.
I love about this movie. And I think we've forgotten in modern day. You can't set out to make an important piece of art. You do it by accident.
Mhm.
And even Romero forgot that. I watched Land of the Dead.
But
I don't remember it, but I did
I'd also
watch it.
argue, I'd also argue though that with Dawn of the Dead, he did still have a point he was trying to make. He was deliberately saying things with that movie. He just had a good balance to it. Wasn't at the forefront.
Also,
It's just
not
baked
beating
into
you
the
over the head
story,
with it.
right? And then
I
you get to
mean,
the end.
the image of zombies in a shopping mall is pretty obvious.
Well, but that
Like,
is more so born of like, this is where I have to film. This is all I can afford. I'm gonna make this movie, and I'm aware of it. But I'm not gonna make the movie about it. It's just that is the natural subtext because this is where I have to make the movie.
okay.
Yeah, I don't entirely agree. I don't think it starts from that place. I think that's the case where the story comes first, and then he's just able to do it.
No, because he talks about the reason it's a mall is his friend was like a manager there or something. He's like, I could make a movie here. That's what they did.
Because what's the story like? It was new when it hadn't opened yet or something, so they had a few weeks or a few months just to film there.
No, because they had to film like around the mall's business schedule, so like they would film at
Okay,
night and shit.
gotcha.
I think
Because
it's
like
been a minute,
malls.
but that is the main thing I do remember is he had a friend that was like just showing him around the mall, and he's like, I could make a movie here.
Okay, and they were still brand new though. Like they weren't like a phenomenon until the 80s,
Yeah.
where they were everywhere. Like it was still very much a new thing in '78.
You couldn't make Dawn of the Dead now.
Yeah.
Nobody goes to the
Well,
mall.
yeah, that's your twist on it. It's dead. It's the dead mall.
Oh, you know what you could do? You could do like a zombie movie about online shopping where a bunch of zombies are on their computers.
When is somebody gonna make the zombie TikTok movie? Is that
The
A
scripted?
Dead
zombie,
Mall
like
sounds
a
like
movie
the
about.
Asylum version of Dawn of the Dead.
You could do a movie about zombies on their phones. Like that's not obvious at all.
That already exists. Stephen
Oh.
King wrote it. It's
No, of
called
course it does.
Cell,
Oh,
where your
never
cell
heard
phone
of it.
turns you into like a not a Romero zombie, but more of just like an infected crazy person.
Hmm.
And they made a
Now,
shitty movie out of it starring John Cusack.
Now, you mentioned this earlier, but the zombies being afraid of fire doesn't stick around in the sequels or in what we think of as traditional zombie lore. That's clearly to me just a carryover from Frankenstein. It feels like just a callback
Yeah.
to that. Which also Frankenstein, you have to acknowledge like the book as being another prototype of just the idea of a reanimated corpse. That's always
Are
influential
you
on
saying
all
the
these things.
Frankenstein's monster is a zombie?
Kind of.
I
And then
mean,
but the fear of
technically, yeah.
fire. Yeah, and the fear of fire thing specifically, like that comes from the movie. I don't think that's in the book.
I
But
don't
then
think
that
that's in the
movie
book.
is also incredibly influential. It carries
So
over into all these other
I
things.
don't know if this is true or just something my dad heard one time and then told me, and it just became fact in my brain. But apparently, the flesh and guts and shit that they eat in this is like chicken wings and chocolate sauce.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think it's like it mostly like drumsticks and
I
yeah.
I could not be an actor. You give me chicken coated with chocolate sauce, I'm quitting.
Well, why do you have to do that? That or the meat that went bad that they still had to use in Day of the Dead.
Oh,
And by all accounts smelled horrible and was
did they have
disgusting
to
and
actually
awful.
eat it?
Yeah, well, preferably not swallow it, but yeah, it's what they had to work with. They couldn't afford new meat, so they still had to chew on it and
Oh
Don't
God.
they use? Didn't they use raw meat in this movie too? Some. some areas.
Not to my knowledge. I think it's like what John was saying. They just use like fried chicken and stuff.
That's
Okay.
why
And
I
it's
want to
only
watch
running in
the
one scene.
colored. That's why I want to watch the colored version. Can you just like see the chicken leg covered in chocolate sauce?
I think they color it flesh colored, but
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
I think that's like primarily one. We get like one token scene of like close-ups of them chewing on meat and stuff. That's not throughout the whole movie. It's really just one
You
scene.
get a couple because you get,
Well, one eats a bug. That's real gross.
yeah, that also
Ooh.
never comes back. Because
One
the
is
big one
naked,
is
and that's
the
even more gross.
when the car explodes.
That's the big one, yeah.
You can tell it's the
And all,
'60s.
yeah, and also the other big talking point with this movie and just its place in history is so many people saw this as a Vietnam allegory, which could feel weird in from a modern lens. But again, there was just a lot of stuff going on in 1968, and this is such an intense, oppressive, dark film that you can see where people would draw those parallels.
And then Noah, because you've
Movie is
played it,
just
Resident Evil 4 has an entire section that is just based on this.
Hmm.
oh yeah,
Remember when you're trapped in the house and all the
yeah. When you're with that one guy that is creepy towards Ashley.
oh, because Robert's never played that. So Robert, there's a section where you're just trapped in a house and you have to fight a bunch of enemies, and it's very this. But in the cutscene, because that whole game is about protecting the president's daughter, this guy that's kind of helping you looks at the president's daughter, who is vaguely a teenager somewhere in there, and goes, "I see the president
You
has
don't know.
equipped. I see the president has equipped his daughter with ballistic."
Are we gonna make a YouTube short? You want to clip that out of context?
No, no, no! Wait, 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 wait! I mean, that's also the game where if you like, because you have to help her down off the ladders and shit. If you look up the wrong way while trying to target her, she'll like cross her legs and yell at you for being a pervert.
Nah, it was a different
Noah had to
time.
tell me that. I don't know why he kept doing it.
No.
No, Noah needs to run away from the zombies that are chasing him. Thankfully, they're walking very slowly, so
Yeah, I can
it's
outrun them
probably
easily.
fine.
Um, yeah, I know. Like there's especially at the beginning of Resident Evil 4, like a lot of that is just very much classic zombie, kind of like harkening back to this movie.
Well, I mean, the original Resident Evil also is just this: you're stuck in a mansion with zombies.
Hey, this isn't a mansion, though.
And not to jump the gun too much because we'll get to the remake later tonight. But one thing that's kind of a pro and con for me with that movie is I think Savini directing it was a good idea. That was his first feature, and that's cool. I think he was the right choice. And there are a lot of things I like about that remake, but it's also a more conventionally shot and directed movie. Every time I go back to this one, because this is a movie I go back to often, but whenever I do, I'm just kind of enamored with like, oh yeah, there are a lot of just weird close-ups and zoom-ins. There's lots of Dutch angles. Like we're always doing something weird and interesting with the camera in this movie that really makes it stand out. Whereas the remake feels like
It's
just
a
a
very
more
well directed
conventional
movie.
zombie movie. Yeah.
That's because I feel like I remember Savini just got sick of it like halfway through because the studio
Oh, he
kept
had an
fucking
awful
with him.
experience. Yeah.
And that's fair. That stuff just I don't care as much about. It's just a narrative. I love this movie, but I think the remake is a slightly stronger just narrative.
I do think this is a better paced movie, at least to me, than the remake. But we'll get to
We'll
why.
see.
When
I
we get
like the
there.
remake. I don't go back to it a lot. Um,
Well, and the
Weirdly enough,
remake
the
in
definitive Romero remake still think is Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
yeah, well, and that did the smart thing of being a completely different type of
Yeah, it's
movie.
just like we have a mall and we have dead people that eat people. That's it.
That'll be a movie that we cover later.
Yeah,
It's
For
on
the
the wheel.
series.
it's on the wheel.
Oh,
I think
okay.
all three of these movies are on the wheel because they all have remakes.
But for
Well, it's a
some
good
reason,
thing.
Day is the one where we're doing all of them. He's
It's
just
a,
fucking.
Because there's
it's
only
a good
three
thing
of
that
them.
we
There's
hit
only
this
two
one first.
remakes. And then I gotta make you guys watch Day of the Dead 2.
God. Yeah, and I don't know if this is really what Savini was going for with his remake, but I do think visually, partly just because it's in color, does feel a little more tonally and stylistically like the other two films in this trilogy with Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. But it's because those are much more modern feeling movies than like this one just has like very distinctive feel from those other two. I mean, they all do
Interesting
to an
with
extent.
the '90s remake because obviously that only exists just to finally trademark the name. Um,
Mhm.
you can just watch that and then go on and watch Dawn and Day, and I think have a
Ex-
similar experience.
mhm. Yeah, with Dawn of the Dead, it's weird just because it's like the impression you get is that this apocalypse is only going for like months, maybe a year, but we're also in a completely different decade from this one. It's very
Fine.
strange as a sequel. But there also is a timeless quality to this that I like though. You just by watching it, you couldn't quite exactly pinpoint the year it was made because like I said there's a lot of there's a lot of 50s flavor to it. There are a lot of overt timely references. We talk about Vietnam and all these things surrounding the movie, but the movie doesn't. So that does make it a little timely.
Mhm.
Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead weirdly do
So,
feel a lot more cemented in when they were made.
so for me, this is where the movie shines, where it's just like these characters arguing with each other because they would rather fight than just work together.
Yep.
Romero had a very interesting view on just people.
Oh yeah.
Like our buddy Austin always talks about how like cynical Carpenter is. I think Romero might have him beat.
Yeah.
But also, I think this movie Carpenter's always wanted to make because like Assault on Precinct 13 is basically this, but not.
Yeah, the
Well,
through line of all these, it's humanity destroying itself.
yeah. Well, and it goes into the aspect of pretty much any zombie story that I think is the more interesting struggle is it's not about the zombies, it's about how the zombies affects the survivors.
The people. It's what the
And that's what a lot of
situation
people
is.
don't get.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think
And
Snyder gets that either, but he gets the pass of he's just making an action movie.
mhm. Well, and for better or worse, that's certainly what the Walking Dead leans into. And famously, Romero dismissed that show and
Soap
said
opera.
he called it a soap opera, which it's kind of true. Like just looking at like the main love triangle, like the love trauma stuff, it's like yeah, I get it, but also in terms of like oh, it's just people arguing. It's like yeah, that's what Romero did. That's just what these movies do.
That's what you
I
did,
think the
man.
difference is the format. This is like a 90-minute movie. Some of those Walking Dead arguments take like 6 hours to finish.
Yeah, there's a lot of padding in there certainly.
I just want to. I would love to have been a fly on the wall of him watching like season 2 of The Walking Dead like week to week.
Oh God,
I'm sure he probably didn't.
I don't think you finished it.
I would be interested to see if he likes the comics because Romero has written. He wrote a trilogy for Marvel that also ties into these because one of the protagonists of that is related to Barbara, and that brings in like
Oh.
vampires to the zombie lore. I have them in my closet somewhere. And that blew my mind because he never would do stuff like that, where it's like, oh, this character is related to this other character from this movie.
Yeah,
One thing I
no.
will give this movie over Dawn though is at least in this movie I can remember people's names Not all of
Yes.
them, but I can remember a couple of them.
I remember Peter in Dawn of the Dead.
Which one is
Peter,
that?
Flyboy.
That's
Peter
Ken
is
Foree.
Ken Foree, yeah.
I mean, Kid Foree's
He's
character
great.
in Dawn is just the best character.
He is.
Yeah, Peter.
But so Noah, the $1 million question: If can a zombie bite turn a vampire into a zombie, and can a vampire bite turn a zombie into a vampire?
Huh.
A zombie bite could not turn a vampire because a vampire doesn't have like a heartbeat to like uh, make blood flow, so the infection wouldn't be able to like spread.
But I'm actually thinking about this. But I don't think a vampire bite could turn a zombie either. Because, I don't know. Maybe it's just because zombies don't have, like, the brain capacity to, like, do anything when they become a vampire. Um,
I'm sure there's a fan fiction out there somewhere where there's like a zombie vampire hybrid. No, you should do some research.
Also, I bet zombies' blood doesn't taste as good.
Those-
Or they barely
Probably.
have it. They don't. They barely have as much as humans, I imagine.
But the what I like about the arguments between Mr. Cooper and Ben in this movie, though, is there is absolutely like that racial undercurrent to it. Like you can't not see that when you have a black actor in this role. Like there's definitely those
Yeah.
undertones, like that tension is there, and it's very palpable. But I like that both characters are flawed and kind of wrong. Like Ben is not perfect. Like that's part of why we find him interesting. Like Ben makes mistakes, but also what I like about Mr. Cooper is he's not a completely one note character. There is a degree of nuance, or you at least understand. Okay, this guy's just really scared for his daughter, and every thing that's motivating it is that. So you get where he's coming from. He just can't handle this situation. It just completely spirals and gets worse. Like he's certainly more of the villain than Ben is, but I like that both characters are flawed. You know, in this
Well, and I think
situation,
that's an
just kind of
interesting
brings
take
out
on
the
aspect
worst
in
of
the
both.
remake of they're both kind of just assholes.
Yeah, well, in the remake, everybody's at an 11.
Yeah.
They are. This is the much more nuanced versions of these characters are in this movie.
Well, and I think with the remake, it's because Barb is supposed to is like the level-headed, reasonable one, so everybody else around her is just insane.
Oh, weird.
Noah, have you watched that yet, or is this going to be a blind reaction from you?
That'll be my first time. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know anything about the remake other than, Savini
Nice.
directed
Yeah.
it.
Well, Mr. Cooper in this one, like I said, he is an asshole. He is in the wrong, but he's not like evil. And in the remake, there is absolutely no attempt to make you sympathize with that guy. He is just a horrible ass. You don't even feel like his wife likes him.
Wow.
Although to be fair, that is more just that's a sign of the times.
Mhm.
By the '90s, the like traditional family stereotype was dead.
But I think this is where I find this film a little better paced than the remake, is you do get the calmer moments where we do slow down and then pick back up. In the
No,
remake,
Robert,
we were
I
at
need
an 11 the
yelling.
entire time.
I need everybody to be yelling for on whole 90 minutes. And this would be interesting because I've never watched these like back to back like this. And then of course this little girl is also one of the like many faces of this movie. Like
One
you
of the
see constant like
posters.
re-releases and posters with her face on it, which is just spoiling the end of the movie.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because with my Criterion release, it actually came with a free poster,
So did mine.
which I
I'm
pulled
guessing
out
ours are
for
the
this.
same.
Yep,
There it
and
is.
it's awesome.
There it
There's a
is.
face, and I was gonna frame it, but I guess to be dicks, this is not like a standard 11 by 17 poster. It's like an inch bigger than that, so all my poster frames cannot fit this. So, oh well.
Oh,
That shot my idea of trying to frame this for my background, but hey, you can
Have you
save that.
read Have you read all
This
this on the
essay
back?
on the back. No, it's
Yeah,
like a
so Noah,
newspaper, but it's awesome.
you get the poster, and then
Yeah.
you also get an essay on the back. Like, look how
Oh,
long
yeah.
that is.
That
Go
is
ahead. Get
that is
reading.
usually a standard
yeah,
thing for
Noah, read
Criterion.
it out loud for us.
I can't even see that on your
Or,
camera.
sorry, Robert, read it out loud for us. You're the one that has the damn thing.
No, we're fine. We have like 30 minutes of this movie left.
You know what is annoying, Robert? You may not have this issue. But, so when you open this, the 4K is tucked back here behind the poster, and then the
Okay.
Blu-rays are over here.
You know what, John? You could take that Blu-ray disc, put it on the other side.
Yeah,
before
but then
the
it'll
new
be
disc.
mismatched because there's two Blu-rays.
Well, one's just special features. It's fine. But earlier, talking about the atmosphere, one thing I kind of had on this viewing when I just rewatched this than I've had before is this is one of those movies that feels like a perfect, or it would make for a perfect binge with some Twilight Zone episodes. Like this is
Yes.
such a Twilight Zone, like just the aspect ratio and the tone. Like you can so picture just that Rod Serling opening and ending just
Oh, yeah.
on this movie and change nothing else, and boom, you got a Twilight Zone. It just one of the really hardcore episodes.
This is like one of the bleakest, most depressing Twilight Zone episodes.
Yeah, and
Stretched
those
out
do
into 90
exist.
minutes.
I love
Yeah.
Twilight Zone. There
Yeah.
is one of my favorite episodes, is season 1 episode about a guy with insomnia, and that has such a bleak, like, yeah, sometimes life sucks
It's
ending.
messed
I
up.
don't know. Like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fucked up, right? Like, damn,
We gotta do a stream on the Twilight Zone sometime.
I would love that. That would be
Because
a good
I've
one.
I've only seen a little bit of that show, but I love what I've seen.
And
I've
John,
seen
have
the
you seen
actual
much of it?
original show. I saw one of the reboots, but it was just like
Gotcha.
random episodes.
That would be a fun night if me and Noah just threw a bunch of episodes on a wheel and then just selected them randomly and get your reactions to them. That could be fun.
It could be
Just some
fun, yeah.
Twilight Zone episodes.
Yeah,
I
so
know
this and
I saw
Planet of the Apes are
one.
like the quintessential Twilight Zone movies.
That
I
one
know
because
I
Sterling wrote it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know I saw one of one of the reboots where it's like it's the classic, like if you could go back in time to kill Hitler as like a baby or whatever.
Mm.
I just caught that on TV one time and I was like, I don't know what this is, but it's kind of cool. No, as a kid, what I had and what I'd like to do on this too is the Outer Limits.
And I've
Oh,
never seen
yeah.
any of Outer Limits.
Me neither, yeah.
I don't remember any of it at this point. I just remember I loved the Outer Limits. And then my dad had all of the Night Gallery on VHS tape, and I watched a couple
Yeah.
episodes of that.
That's not streaming anywhere, I don't think. I'd like to watch that too.
I want to see that Tales from the Dark Side, I think it's called, because Romero had a hand in that.
Yeah, we gotta do more like anthology stuff on this channel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But anyway, here we're about to get to the news report where they I guess maybe they have a line here about shooting zombies in the head.
Yeah, that is in the movie where they say they don't specify the brain though. They just say you got to get him in the.
Oh my
That's the only way to
god.
keep him down.
So the woman playing Helen Cooper would later appear in Santa Claus, directed by John Russo, which has come up on Red
Oh
Letter
my
Media's Best of the Worst. Apparently
Yeah,
that
Oh,
movie
she's
okay.
sucks.
she actually has a dual role in this movie. She's one of the zombies out. I think she's the one that eats that bug. But she's just covered in makeup and has a wig on.
Oh wow, the actress that played Barbara in this is still alive.
Oh,
I
Could
just
be.
thought all of the cast of this at this point had passed away. Like, I don't know. She was just in something in 2017.
Good for her.
I've not heard of a single other movie that she's been in, but she's been in things.
Persons who have recently died are coming back to life.
Oh wow, the actress that played Helen Cooper just passed away a couple years ago.
Oh, R.I.P.
Oh God, Santa Claus was the last thing she was in.
Yeah, well, they all can't be winners.
This is the scene where they start flipping through channels and it makes them say, "There's panic on the streets of London."
That's a different guy.
It's a different movie.
They'll be fine. They're setting up rescue
Yeah,
stations.
so see, here it's just people who have recently died, not people who have been bitten.
Mhm.
Romero even came up with the Walking Dead lore and he didn't know it.
And he hates that show.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of what that show is doing is just a lesser version of what he's already did. I would also hate it if I was him.
It's a shame though, since he worked with Greg Nicotero on Day of the Dead. That's he got his, and then he did all the makeup and stuff for Walking Dead. So you do get a lot of carryover between those properties.
Yeah, didn't they even bring in the guy that played Bub to play a zombie in that?
Maybe there's a lot of like Easter eggs and
Because I know they made a big deal. They got somebody to play a zombie. And it's like, yeah, but they're playing a zombie. I can't tell the difference. I don't know what the guy that played Bub looks like. I just know what Bub looks like.
It's like when they got Daniel Craig to be a stormtrooper in The Force Awakens, I think.
Yeah, I didn't even learn about that till after. I was like, oh, that was Daniel Craig.
Why?
Like, he's in stormtrooper armor and you've modulated his voice. I can't tell.
No comment at this time. No
Yeah, so this
reactions.
is the thing that's weird. Uh, they sent a satellite off to Venus, and it never shows back up on Earth
I think
until
though where you
now.
do, and obviously they don't literally tell you. It's just their main theory that that's
Yeah,
what's causing this outbreak. But where you do get some of Romero's sensibilities is the idea of the government cover up, not trusting the government in this situation, them not letting the people know what's really going on. If that's the idea. I love that this is all shot
sure.
guerrilla style too. Like they didn't get any permits. They're just like, fine, let's just go in front of the Capitol.
This
Got
is
5 minutes
where
to set
this is
shoot
where I
this.
fight you a little bit. You can't tell when this movie is made. This is very '60s,
Yeah.
including the TV. I wonder what Carpenter thinks of this movie.
He probably loves it.
Yeah, probably.
It's a classic piece of cinema. But yeah, no, that is the one aspect that's kind of aged.
Mhm.
Uh, the main conflict and the actual story is very timeless.
Yeah. So,
Especially
because you
since
you guys are more into like the filmmaking aspect, so are they just like, pointing a camera at a TV? Is that what's happening right now?
no, like
No,
that's just I don't know, probably like a map or something. I don't entirely understand how the technology works, but it looks like they just have film just they just
yeah, it's
overlaid a
some
couple
sort of like footage imposed onto the like
right.
image of
Or,
the
or they
TV.
have like a shot of the TV with just the TV square cut out on the screen, and then they just put those elements on top of each other, like what we're looking at here. But also what I think does it give it a bit of a timeless quality for most of the movie is the fact that we are in a farmhouse. You know, we're not in the suburbs, we're not in a city, so this does like if you've ever been to a farmhouse, they can feel very out of time, like or from a much older decade. time, depending on where you are in the country, does feel like it goes by slower in some areas than others.
You know what?
This is just
You
kind
know
of a
what
standard
isn't
farmhouse.
timeless?
Hmm.
Diary of the Dead.
Is that the found footage one?
Yeah. It's all about them making a movie to upload to social media. And if there's
Oh
anybody that's
god.
knowledgeable about social media, it's an 80-year-old film director.
But
Well,
Can a zombie
meanwhile,
be a tweet?
I'm sure this girl will be fine. She just got bit.
oh god, I know how this ends. And I literally do. I've seen the movie before.
Have you, though? Or did you just read the Wikipedia page?
Ah, you got me. I have the Wikipedia page pulled up right now.
You Krispy Kreme motherfucker.
And this stuff feels very 50s, very cheesy, but I do like it. It's like, imagine Ed Wood directing this movie with all his
Why would I
passion
do
and
that?
incompetence.
Why would I do that?
Because it'd be
Because
great.
it's amusing.
What have you done?
Movies they're not about the tiny little details, they're about the
That's
big
also
picture.
something we don't do a lot is immediately you must burn the bodies. A lot of zombie movies, they just kill them and leave them there to rot.
That's fine.
You know what would help you survive in a zombie apocalypse like this?
What's that?
A high hide. You go up high
Okay.
and you hide.
Okay.
One thing that I've never heard, uh, one thing that I've never heard Romero talk about, but I'd be shocked if it wasn't an influence on this, as another like proto zombie movie, is Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, because that's a very similar movie to this, where it is a lot of people in one house boarding up the doors and windows and stuff. I'm like, when I watched that, I was like, oh, this is like watching a zombie movie, just birds instead of zombies. But a lot of the beats play out very
Interesting.
similarly.
I've not seen
It
it.
feel yeah, it's a good movie.
Hitchcock is a big blind spot. I've seen Psycho and Rear Window.
Both good
Two great
movies.
movies.
Yeah, but The Birds is a horror picture, so we can cover it on the channel at some point. And I think there is a shitty TV remake, so we might add it to the wheel.
We'll do the birds and the frogs.
Oh God.
No, you have to do The Birds and Birdemic together.
Oh no.
Not the shitty TV remake.
No,
No.
I
Birdemic
know what
Shock and
Birdemic
Terror.
is.
I was gonna say, you know Birdemic, John. There's no scene in the original The Birds where they fight off birds with hangers, right?
Okay, so Robert, I can't find anything about a TV movie yet, but are you ready for the remakes from Platinum Dune starring Scarlett Johansson?
Oh, sure.
If
That's
that's
fine.
even still happening.
Maybe I'm thinking of The Birds 2. Maybe that's what it was. It was like a decades later TV sequel. So maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Yes, it is The Birds to Land's End, and it was directed by Rick Rosenthal, who removed his name credit and used the Hollywood synonym Alan Smithy, so you know it's good.
Hell yeah.
Director of Halloween 2 and Halloween Resurrection.
If
It's
he
only like
wasn't
two
happy with the
movies.
final
Rick
product, what
Rosenthal.
does that look like?
Alan Smithy also made one of the Hellraisers, right?
Hellraiser 4.
Yeah. It's the same guy.
Yeah. Although Hellraiser
Wow.
4 is not terrible, it's just compromised. Hellraiser 4 is a movie where I can see what that he wanted to do, and then where the studio was like, no, but you got to do this instead.
And speaking of Halloween 2, though, I think there's a scene in that movie where characters are watching this movie on TV, and I always confuse that with the first one. Uh, but then
Is
that'll
there?
happen in many film. I think in Halloween 2, they're watching this on TV at some point, but that's happened a lot due to this being in the public domain, so anyone can
There was
see
a
it.
movie just a year or two ago where they were
Terrifier
watching
2.
this.
I think
Maybe it is
Terrifier 2
Terrifier
is
2
one.
then.
Yeah, you see this movie a lot in different shows and things.
Because it's public domain. No, I think maybe you're thinking
Okay.
of in the first Halloween, they're watching The Thing from Another World.
Yeah, yeah. So in the first Halloween, they're watching The Thing from Another World and Forbidden Planet, I think. But they say it's 3 movies, like it's a 3-movie marathon, but they never show you what the one is. And then I think in Halloween 2,
Oh,
they
okay.
retroactively say that the third movie was Night of the Living Dead, or something like
Okay.
that. So, like I said, I'll have to just assume that's from the first one, but it's not. Oh, do you guys believe that Tom and Judy or whatever her name is? Do you believe each other?
That was the most over edited kiss I've ever seen.
It's drama. It's Shakespearean. And why does a zombie put on a shirt?
That's really
Hold out?
the scariest thing in this movie. It's not all the zombies and the violence and the blood, it's the nudity.
This was we should have mentioned though a very for now being regarded as this classic. This was a very shocking film. It was very controversial for a long.
No,
Like,
he's pushing boundaries for the 60s.
oh yeah, like you can do this.
You can if you're independent.
Now that we're at this scene with all the fire, John, earlier I thought you were gonna ask me, when you asked me like what can you survive the zombie apocalypse with, I thought you were gonna say gasoline.
Missed opportunities. We have
Come
to start
on.
this whole thing over again.
All right,
I
timestamp
had to go
0.
for the Lost World reference. That's what Robert and I do.
That's all we do.
Yeah. I feel like at this point you just quote The Lost World to prove to me that that movie is somehow quotable.
Because it is.
Sarah.
Sarah Harding.
Part of me thinks you guys are making some of those quotes up.
So watch the movie with us.
Yeah.
Maybe someday.
John, do you know what Ben is thinking right now?
He's on the only place where the geese chase him.
No, he's thinking, hang on, this is gonna be bad.
I don't know what any of this means.
Whoa.
Gasoline.
So this might be the dumbest choice any movie character's making.
This sequence is a little clunky. This is one of the scenes I can point to that I think is improved a little in the remake. We are about to see Ben do something very stupid that I think does throw his character under the bus a little.
Well,
Like,
because
he
I
shouldn't be
remember
this
when I
dumb.
watched this the first time, I was like, what the fuck just happened?
It's very awkward. Just the staging of it. Like, Ben, don't do that. Yeah, it's very contrived. It feels contrived. Like, oh my god, it just escalates so quickly. It's like, oh fuck.
Oh shit.
Like they all look dumb. Nobody comes out of this looking good. Oh shit. We're on fire. Stop, drop, and roll.
I don't think they're gonna get out of that one.
What are you
But-
doing? It's on fire. You can't use the gas now.
And then this part's awkward where her jacket's caught on something, but it sounds like an ADR line they threw in because they didn't get a good shot of her saying it or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a very awkward sequence.
it's just caught in the car somehow. Don't ask questions.
Point is, they're dead. Shoot him in the head, you idiot.
Haven't you seen a zombie movie?
Ugh.
Yeah, that was definitely ADR.
I think you're behind us a little bit.
It's like, just take the damn
Well-
jacket off. Why did you just sit there? They're dead, Jim.
A part of me wondered. A part of me wondered if the idea though was maybe she was having like a panic attack or something, and then they were like, "Oh well, we don't know if we want to do that with her and Barbara, so let's throw a line in there about the jacket being caught." I don't know if that's what happened. That's just how it feels.
Yeah, that's probably my least favorite part of the movie because they're all idiots.
Yeah, it's very contrived. But look at these two. Putting aside their differences, working together. They're gonna be pals. It's
Ryan
Silver
definitely a
Flame's
couple
face
seconds
on a
behind
pal.
you because he's currently in the middle of a crowd of zombies. Like, what the fuck?
In a second,
Oh, shit.
he's gonna get into a fist fight with the old guy,
It's
and those punches that he throws at him definitely did not connect.
Yeah.
Look, man. Dwayne Jones is a great actor. He was not trained in fight choreography. Okay, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, he should have been trained by the great William Shatner.
Should have.
Yeah, but it's like Toy Story. You know, they need their brawl in the, you know, at the gas station, but then they'll become friends and work together. That's how this movie's gonna end.
Okay, so here's
This is like
where,
the token scene,
here's where they eat the meat.
and now it's fresh and crispy.
Some of that
It's cooked
does
for them.
look. So it looks like right here they're like munching on a drumstick, but in one shot earlier, I think there's something that might have been like raw meat, but I don't know. That's just me speculating.
It's nice and juicy.
So juicy, sweet.
Ah, Jesus. Yeah, it feels like that scene is
Little
just contrived
potatoes.
because we need this. The
Right.
big.
But we need to get the characters outside. We need a couple of them to die. We need to build up the tension between Ben and Mr. Koopa.
That's my favorite thing about the remake is just how many times they get Tony Todd to scream Cooper.
He's so angry in that movie.
I like the score to this movie a lot. It's no Dawn of the Dead, which has like one of the greatest film scores of all time, but it's good.
I'm glad you mentioned the score because last time I watched this, I had a holy shit moment where I was like, some of the music in this movie, Noah, is from the Graveyard Shift episode of SpongeBob, the Hatchling Slasher episode. Like some of that music is this
Wow.
music,
Really?
and I was like, oh my god,
I'm gonna
I
have to
never
watch
noticed that
that.
before. Yeah, I'll point it out to you sometime.
It's been
It's
forever since
when
I've seen that episode.
Yeah, it's when Squidward's telling SpongeBob the story specifically, and like the music really amps up and gets creepy. Like that's from this movie.
That's really funny.
Like da
Yeah, I
da
mean,
da da da.
I guess they're allowed to do that just because the movie's public domain, right?
Yeah, and that
Like,
show did that a lot though. There's lots of music cues, and maybe it was just standard Nickelodeon thing because they would often just rip shit from old movies and use
well, I
it.
mean, Nosferatu's in that
Yep,
episode, like
that's
straight
true.
up, just like a still of him. Like,
That is true. I love scenes like this though, where the characters are just kind of down and like, well, we're probably fucked. Like this is not
the
our
low
night.
point.
Mhm.
I say this is the low point. Basically, every scene in this movie is the low point.
The whole movie is. Yeah,
It's not a good time.
for a movie called Night of the Living Dead, this all happens and really goes south over the span of like a couple hours. Like it don't last that long.
Whereas Dawn is like weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Dawn, they're doing pretty good for a bit. And there's the naked zombie lady again.
Noah's favorite.
I clicked away from the movie for a second.
Noah's just like, I'm so ashamed.
I
I
think
didn't
Day of
know
the
that.
Dead.
I
Oh,
forgot
sorry.
that she had multiple appearances.
Well, it's probably just the same shot, just from a different angle. Just the same B-roll. I think Day of the Dead has the goofiest zombies where it's like fight. Like, isn't there a clown zombie in that one? Like, just all sorts of different goofy outfits.
Yes, but the clown zombie is horrifying.
Yeah,
Because I think I think that's in the most horrifying scene in the movie to me, where that guy just opens the roof and like lays there to bring them in.
hmm
All right. So in this scene, they just say, "Kill the brain and you kill the ghoul."
Yeah,
So that is that is like something that comes from this movie.
yeah,
Okay, so
and
the headshots
also,
come from this.
and this also feels like the most direct carryover into the movie is like these militias, all these groups going out hunting them. That's not always a thing we do in zombie things, but that's a very specific choice in
A
both.
very Romero thing.
Yeah, it's my favorite
You
guy. Yep,
you
they're
did
dead.
what?
They're all messed up.
Robert, they stayed the line. They're all dead.
Okay, so what's his name? What's his name?
Yeah, no, you know that. What's his name?
What's his name? Who were we
The
talking about?
the news reporter guy, the guy holding the
Is that
microphone.
the guy I was
So
talking about earlier, whose daughter is in date? Okay.
yes, that is Bill Chili Billy Cardill, a real life news reporter who they just got to
Oh,
play himself in this movie, because I guess he was local and they had him. So yeah, then his daughter will go on to play the lead in Day of the Dead. I also think he has a cameo as a zombie somewhere in Day of the Dead, and then he plays this character again in the 1990 remake.
wow,
uh, so that's cool.
that's kind of cool. Yeah.
My favorite of these TV sequences is the remake of Dawn, where it's just an excuse to get all the original actors back. So
That's a
cool.
good one.
Even though I didn't
That's
recognize, is it Roger?
Yeah, him I wouldn't recognize. Ken Fore's, is the best one. Is that John? Is that the best callback line though we've ever done? We do something different with it, and it's not
Yes.
stupid. Where he plays a TV evangelist and it has the light again, like when there's no more room in hell, that
Yeah, because
the
it's not
dead
a
will walk here. That's
just.
great.
It's not like Evil
That's
Dead
cool.
Rise where
Yeah.
they just start saying "Dead by Dawn" for no reason. It's this guy is preaching at you, and he's just happened to say the thing from the original.
Yeah, you believe that character saying that line. It fits the movie.
Plus, the only person
Great.
that's one of those lines I think the only person that can deliver it is Kid 40.
Right. That helps too. And this is where, again, this is one of the scenes where Cooper is an asshole, but he also has a point where it's like, okay, this isn't working. Let's just go in the fucking cellar.
Yeah, but I also agree with Ben where it's like, if they get in here, you're in the basement, you're fucked.
It's a death trap.
But then he survives by staying in the basement. So
That's true. It's irony.
Does he?
well, he doesn't
Well,
die until he goes out of the basement.
Yeah. If he stayed in the basement, he would have been safe.
That is one
That's the
thing I
tragic
don't like
irony.
about the remake is they changed that whole thing.
But they
Oh, I
do?
actually like. Oh, I like that change. Interesting. Yeah, we'll get to it
We'll
when
see.
we get there. This will be a reaction
Oh.
from Noah. But yeah, they do
Oh
change
yeah,
the.
for-
I like the. I like how the ending's different.
yeah, we'll see. And there's something we'll never see in these movies again. They're
So
using
fucking
tools.
You should be fighting the zombies, not the people.
Robert, it's been we've done 2 of these and have not added a single movie to our list.
Oh, there you go. Well, I think we're trying to burn through a few of them before we start adding to it.
We mentioned I Am Legend because that is on the list. There's only like 7 of them to pick from.
Oh my god. This is when Ben
No.
has had enough of this shit.
Do you guys agree with this as well as the first Evil Dead? I feel like has a lot of the same kind of energy. Not only is it a bunch of people trapped in a small house with monsters, it's got that like low budget first time filmmaker.
Well,
Scrappy.
and Romero and Raimi are both approaching that each material from a very similar place of no, this is a roller coaster ride where we're kicking off with the horror. We're not interested in like half of this movie being build up. It's just nonstop tension and scares and thrills. So they are approaching it from a very similar place.
I wouldn't be surprised if because I know Raimi's not a big horror guy, like outside of his own films. I bet you Raimi loves this movie.
Probably. I'm sure he likes the humor of Dawn of the Dead.
No, Dawn of
Oh,
the Dead
hey,
is
Barbara's still here.
probably probably more his speed. But just as a filmmaker, I'm sure he appreciates this movie more.
It's the poster. One of the posters.
This is the other big like graphic scene with the daughter munching up the dad. This is like the most disturbing, fucked up scene in this. And again, not something you see in a lot of zombie stuff after this with her using a weapon, but
No, it's so weird, just like in my brain.
the sound design is just so off-putting.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best scenes in the movie. It's also probably the scene that scared me the most when I first watched
So, because I'm behind you guys, I'm pretty sure I'm getting to what ends up being Barbara's death. The first time you watched it, were you confused too? Like, wait a minute, did she just die?
it. Yeah,
I always
well, I was
forget
expecting
how
her
she
to
dies.
live, but no, she dies. Just kind of off screen. But this death,
Yeah.
though, even though this is what, like 8 years after Psycho, which we've talked about the channel, this still feels way more visceral than even, at least to me. Where there's just something about the way it's shot that's like, oh my god.
I always forget how Barbara dies in this movie.
It's her brother.
Which
She
is a little
she does
convenient, but
basically
it's fine.
does get off screen to death.
Mm-hmm.
She was
But, of
killed by the
course-
editing.
And of course, this is one of the big scenes, though, that's homaged in Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead with the other girl
Yeah,
going after her
with
boyfriend. Yeah, you have the other boyfriend guy getting ripped apart a lot like the guy in Dawn of the Dead, and then her getting surrounded by
And
all
then
the zombies. So
she's
it's like those
yeah.
two scenes spliced together.
And then if
Well,
you watch
she
the
like
special features, apparently she
yeah.
survives.
That whole thing is weird. Yeah.
No, 'cause so on the DVD there was like a thing that showed like what each character did after the movie ended. Apparently that character survived by beating them off with that leg and then hiding up in a tree and eating the flesh off of that leg.
See,
Yeah.
she found
Of
the
her
high hide.
boyfriend's like she
Yeah,
found the
see,
high
no,
hide.
she went
God
up
damn
high and
it.
she hid.
Oh boy. But this
I
imagery,
don't think that that's canon, by the way.
No, it
I
is. She
believe
found
it
the
is.
high hide.
This imagery does feel very consistent with the next movie. Just being in a building with all these guys just walking, just lumbering around in here.
Although it's a much more cramped space than that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Where's the TV? Ghouls growling. That's what my
I don't know
subtitles say.
if you had this, you guys had this, but the big, operatic score right here is very Godzilla-ish.
Yeah, I could see that. Kind of similar vibe. But this does, though, start the zombie template moving forward. If we find a place, try to fortify it, doesn't work. It all falls apart.
Basically every season of The Walking Dead.
Yep.
This one's in a farm. This one's in a prison. This one.
Hey, the prison one
To
was
be
the
fair, the
coolest.
prison was cool. The show kind of fucks it up, but in the comics, the prison's awesome.
Yeah, I like them both. Oh my god. There's so much maple syrup. I mean, blood.
It's chocolate syrup. I do like how some of the zombies are just like wandering around confused looking. Like,
Yeah,
oh, what do I do here?
and there's an extra little bit added to this scene in the remake that I do like a lot that I won't spoil.
Okay,
It
you
is
better not.
weird with this movie, and I know it's just because Romero is not thinking of lore or stuff like that. But she just like mutilates that her mom's body and then doesn't eat any of it.
I guess she was full for meeting her dad. I don't know. I feel like though that is like the one thing they couldn't show that they had to do off screen was him shooting the girl.
Yeah.
That was probably even for them going too far. It's like, okay, that'll be off screen.
No, that they have to wait for that until Dawn of the Dead, where Kid Boy just murders two zombie children. Noah, wake
Oh my
up!
god, it's the Batcopter.
I am awake.
I wish it was Adam West Batman playing Subcopter. Like, oh my
I
god.
would also love
It's
Adam
like
West
fucked
Batman
up,
to be
Robin.
in this, watch him get torn apart.
Oh,
Wow.
he'd have his zombie repellent. He'd be fine.
No.
I'm also expecting the MASH theme to kick in. That'd be an interesting crossover.
Don't hum it, Robert. We're gonna get copyright claimed.
Do 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 do.
I will
No,
mute you.
no.
You can't do that.
I can't even say the lyrics to that song because YouTube won't like that either.
Unalive is painless.
Doesn't have the same ring to it.
No, so you brought up earlier how this role wasn't really written with a black man in mind, but Dwayne Jones was just the perfect person to cast for the role, and I just think it's interesting with how this movie ends that that was the case.
Yeah, the imagery in this ending is so loaded and heavy. You can't
Yeah.
not think about that.
I do kind of
Even
wonder,
if
just
that
like
wasn't the intention,
part of me
just can't think
wonders
about that.
if like obviously the character wasn't written for a black guy or a white guy or anything, but once they cast a guy, they were like, what if we did this? Like I don't know. Part of me wonders.
Maybe if they change something like in editing, just
Yeah.
like the choices they make with the editing, with the photographs and everything, it's just very heavy imagery. And then burning the bodies with him and stuff, like start
So
shit.
Robert,
I mean,
right?
it's uncomfortable to watch now, like
Mhm.
let alone back then.
Robert, are you ready to watch The Stand for 6 hours next Friday?
No, we might push that back a week. We'll see.
Yeah, you
Uh,
guys have fun with that.
Oh no, you're gonna be there.
but
Eh,
You
no, I
gotta
got
you
something
gotta
going
watch
on.
it. No,
I got something going on.
no,
Yes. I'm gonna be sick on that day.
you're full of shit.
I do remember when I first saw this movie, though. A few of my friends watched this with me, and when we got to the ending, they hated it.
uh,
They were just like, "Oh, what? That was stupid. Like, what's the point of ending it like that?" And I'm like, "Were you really expecting a happy ending from a movie called Night of the Living Dead?"
which is why because yeah, this ending's such a gut punch. It's really dark and sad. But that's why I'm glad they changed the ending of Dawn, because I think what they were originally going with too much of a repeat of this. So I like that they have very distinctly.
Well, that doesn't have a happy ending either, really.
No, but it's more ambiguous and kind of bittersweet.
Happier than this.
Yeah. And again, this is where Romero's like documentary-esque sensibilities come in. Just like this choice of all these photographs, just makes it feel very real and haunting.
It's a lot more unsettling, I think, than it would have been if we saw this play out in
Mhm.
motion. Like, I don't know, there's just something, like you said, more haunting about watching it as like a slideshow, basically.
Mhm.
We ran out of money, folks.
But yeah,
But then I always forget that the very final shot is like back to it's like a moving image just of the pile of bodies burning.
mhm. And then I think we see Ben's body next to the first zombie. So comes full circle.
Yeah, and this is
Oh
just
my
one of
god,
the
they've got the
movie
Candyman notes.
endings. It's just one of those movie endings that sticks with you.
Oh yeah.
Not the Candyman. Sorry, I know what you did last summer.
That's also it'll be an interesting discussion when we get into the remake, though. That's part of why I'm fine with changing the ending a little, just because you can't replicate the gut punch of this. So that's a place where I understand doing something a little different, because that is a mostly very faithful remake to this. But I don't mind some of the changes they make.
Yeah, we'll see. I might have a different take this time. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Um,
Copyright 2016. That doesn't make any sense.
What?
Night of the Living Dead 50 years. But still a classic picture.
Yeah.
A
You know,
good spooky film.
I just thought about this. This could have been the one time we could have streamed the movie itself and not get in trouble.
Right? That's a good point. That's gonna be our one.
All right, well, that has been our commentary for Night of the Living Dead from 1968. If you're watching live, give us what do you guys need? Like 5-10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yep.
Give us like 5 to 10 minutes to get up, move around, do whatever these two got to do, and we will be back.
They're coming to get you, Noah.
Ah,
No, they're right behind you. Look at
ah, ah.
it. They're coming to get you, Barbara. We'll be right back. Ooh,
Oh my God,
spooky.
they're still
Still coming.
chasing me. They're still
But they're
coming.
still in black and white. Oh my god, what's
Oh
happening?
no, you can't say that.
They're still approaching me. Can't even say words anymore.
Noah, why are you scared that black and white people are coming after you?
Good one, John. And
These are the jokes, folks.
these are the jokes.
Hey, look,
No, funnily enough, because I'm using right now, I for some reason I have a free trial of Discord Nitro. I don't know. I didn't sign up for it at all, but you can't do custom backgrounds without it. But so that's why I have this
experimenting.
for my background. Yeah. But for some reason, there's no GIFs of the 1990 Night of the Living Dead, so I'm just using this for both.
I'm not surprised. This is a pretty forgotten movie.
I
Yeah,
guess it is. Yeah,
you
I
got
expect there to
negative
be, at least be
reviews.
two.
Can't you just save one and upload it?
I'm not gonna search that hard for a GIF of a movie I haven't seen.
Oh, so what you're saying is you're feckin' lazy.
Yeah, I'm not,
The voice
I'm
crack
not
is
gonna
back.
hide. Yeah, I'm not gonna hide that about myself. Everyone knows I'm lazy.
I am who I am.
Exactly.
Uh, so you guys didn't know the lead in this that plays Barbara is in Army of Darkness.
That is true.
Ew.
Bless you.
Wow.
She
You
is the
really hate this
possessed.
actress.
This is bad
She is
timing.
the possessed witch. Where in the scene where
Oh,
Axe is like, or where Ash is like, it's a trap. Get an axe.
I thought you were gonna say the S Mart at the end, that scene at the end.
I think it's the same actress.
Yeah, it's
Quite
either the
cool.
same actress or they just had an identical dead
And
but it's probably similar.
she was Laura Dern's stunt double in Jurassic Park.
Oh,
And
cool.
then for Noah, she did stunt work for TNG and Deep Space Nine.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so she's a
Hard.
stunt woman first, and then an actress.
Yeah, apparently.
That's cool.
She was the stand-in for Picard's action scenes.
Of course.
She
You can't
played
really tell the
she
difference.
played John McClane Picard in Star Trek Insurrection. Everybody's favorite.
But yeah, that was Patricia Tallman. Doesn't have like a big filmography as like a lead actress, but I do like her a lot in this kind of a shame. But cool stunt woman though.
Alright. Is everybody at timestamp 0?
Yes.
I am. I should point out though, the version I'm watching, just there's no logos at the front. It just starts off.
Yeah.
So
We'll see how it
Yeah.
goes because I own this on Voodoo. So, um, in 3, 2, 1, play.
so we might be a little ahead of you again, but we'll see.
21st Century Film Corporation and George Romero present.
20th Century Fox.
That's a different studio.
Does
Different
Disney
God.
own this movie?
It might
Tom
explain why
Savini.
there's no like decent 4K release.
Oh. But apparently, an extended cut of this proper restoration by Tom Savini is currently in the works. So keep an eye out for that.
Oh,
It's great.
We'll see.
So it
I was
so
also
immediately
promised a
you'll see
Scream
it.
4 release, and we haven't
Yeah.
gotten that yet.
Nah, you gotta take the time. So when this movie came out, it was panned by critics. Everyone hated it. Didn't do well. Over time, it's gotten a bit of a better reputation, I think. But according to Tom Savini, though, the finished film we're looking at here, to him, he has said was like 40% the movie he wanted to make, and apparently this new extended cut he's working on is a lot closer to his original vision. But yeah,
I
I
don't know
know
what the
this was a
fuck that
nightmare for him to.
means.
I don't either, but he said this was a nightmare to work on because what's it's funny is him directing it was Romero's idea. Romero thought he'd be a good choice to direct it. The problem is Romero wasn't there on set while they were making it; he was somewhere else. And Tom Savini got into horrible fights with the producers who were just breathing it out his neck this entire time. So this is his first movie and an awful experience, which is a real shame because I think it's pretty good.
The video we got is fine. Like,
Mhm.
Has he directed much since this?
Not that I'm that familiar with. Like, I'm sure he has. I know he's done like some TV work. Like, he's directed TV episodes of
Yeah,
things.
because this is the only movie I know that he's directed that I can think
I'm
of.
looking.
Yeah, like I know he directed like an episode of Creep Show. Stuff like that.
That makes sense.
He, mostly just it looks like episodes of stuff, but he has a movie
Yeah,
called
just
Nightmare
TV.
City that's supposed to come out TBD.
No,
But this is the only movie he's directed that I can tell.
oh
So
god,
it seems like they're really truncating the beginning right now because
yeah. And again, I wonder how much of that is just through editing and it compared to what they shot. I don't know because most of it's just ADR. What we get of this
it,
conversation.
it's just kind of amusing to me that this movie immediately starts off with "They're coming to get you, Barbara,"
Yeah.
and it's the stuff of him like scaring her
hmm
over the shots of them driving. It's like we're really in a rush to get through this opening, aren't we?
We are, but we got Bill Moseley here as Johnny, which I think is great cast. Most known for playing Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Texas Chainsaw 2.
Much. So I like his casting, but Johnny is so much more of an asshole in this version, and that really sets the template for everything moving forward. Uh, this scene to me feels so rushed, and he's such an asshole that it's like,
I don't know
dude,
why he's
dial
dressed
it
like the
back,
one
man.
from the 60s.
I don't know, but that's what
Yeah, and
this is a good fake out
immediately
though.
we're at the zombie here.
Oh yeah, but this is a good gag.
Oh, never mind.
You judgmental prick
I thought
calling
it
him a
was a
zombie.
zombie.
It's
It's
just
because
an
I
old
saw
guy.
the original.
What's up with that guy?
Do you
Oh,
like the
fine.
fake out? He's not the actual
Oh,
zombie.
I like
oh,
it.
he's a jump scare.
And now she's kicking him.
Oh yeah, and already she's more of like an action hero. Now, of course, I should have known the zombies are gonna look more
Grotesque.
zombie-like in this one.
They definitely have more of that Day of the Dead flavor,
Mhm.
specifically. But
He stopped
Johnny's not the
Johnny.
same. This is a good gag. Like, goddamn.
Whoa. Damn.
Got a whoa out of Noah.
That hurt.
Impressive. So I like the scene a lot. I just could have used a couple more minutes of build up. Where it's like, that was fast.
I know. Like, we just fucking started. We're not even.
We're not even done with the
We're,
credits. The
we're only
credits
5 minutes in. It is kind of like how Snyder's Dawn of the Dead opens, where that's like immediately like shit hits the fan.
Mm-hmm. I guess the difference though is that's a bit more calm with the characters. This movie opens with characters and yelling at each other, and then we're just
Yeah.
already at an 11 in the first second of this.
Robert, it's fine. It's fine.
And this is gross.
And already we're seeing the dude's ass.
Yeah, it's a good visual gag though, because it's not a real suit. It was just open casket for an open casket funeral, but now he's
That's
lumbering around. That's fun.
It's kind of fun.
So the zombies like picking up weapons and shit is downplayed a lot in this film. We still do it here. It's like they're like, it's too iconic. We got to do the brick gag.
Yeah, so I assume that the little girl uses the weapon later.
You would assume
Yeah.
wrong. You don't do that. Oh fuck! Oh, this poor guy. This stunt's a little better than the first one because we can actually crash a car.
Yeah.
And this one can't edit around it. It's funny though because
Run.
one of the big criticisms of this movie at the time was like, oh my god, it's just a cash grab. Romero's a sellout. This is just cheap to make money. And it's like, that's partially true. But the whole reason for them being interested in making this movie is because he wanted a version of this movie that he could own and get residuals off of. Because the first one had gone into public domain and he wasn't making a cent off of it. So I feel like it's not made for like the cynical reason critics took it as when it came out. Where it's like, I get why he's interested in.
Sorry, that's not a reason to give a movie a bad review. It's not.
Yeah, you should still judge the piece for itself.
I guess with this, it's like you kind of got to give it to him because he's not making money off that original movie.
Right. And then, ironically, this movie doesn't do well at the box office, so he doesn't make money off of this movie either.
Oh.
Yeah, because it cost like $4 million and barely made $5 million.
Mm-hmm. It was a big old bomb.
It's fine.
John, all you've said is it's fine so far.
I mean, I don't have the complaints that Robert does. Like it's okay. Like we're just getting started.
No, I like it. I just could have used a couple minutes of build up. Noah, where do you land? Like Noah was talking about how we just start right with the iconic line and the arguing.
Yeah, no. So far, I'm with Robert, but I'm into it so far. Still, like I'm still watching it.
Yeah, I still like it.
Yeah, you didn't. The stuff that bothers you to me is fine.
But that's this whole. It's just enigmatic of this whole movie where it's just non-stop arguing and yelling. Where I'm like, okay, we need to slow down a bit more. But we'll see. Like I said, I do like Patricia Tallman a lot as Barbara in this. Although coming up is one of the very few bits from this movie we do more subdued than the original, where she doesn't walk in and get jump scared by the deer head and taxidermy. It's a little bit more mellow than that.
It's funny though, because the camera work is not as frantic as the original was, despite everything else being a lot more frantic.
Right. Yeah, like the performances are, but the camera work's a lot more kind of
Whoa,
traditional.
it was Pumbaa. There's the deer head.
Oh no, they got Pumbaa. Now we know what happened to him.
Oh my god, it's a hand.
Can I give you a hand, Barbara? This is all just one big elaborate prank. Is the big twist.
Whoa.
It's just a prank, bro.
Do you think that hand came from Jurassic Park?
Probably.
It's just Wilford Brimley.
He's in everything we watch.
He's just looking
That guy
for
gets
his
around.
diabetes
Barbara's having a
medication.
rough day.
Yeah, he can't because he can't find his diabetes medicine.
Oh shit.
Oh god. Oh, what's wrong with your face?
Yeah. It
This
looks
is a
like part of it
good
is
gag.
missing, but it's not.
That's a good stunt. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Okay, so he wasn't already in the house. Ben just rolls up.
That's in the first one too.
But doesn't
No, when
run
she
into
gets
him
there,
in the
Ben's
house?
already there.
He rolls up in the car with the headlights.
He does?
Yeah, we
Why
just
do I
watched
remember
it.
him being just already being there?
I
Robert, are
know
you
we
trying to
just
gaslight
watched it.
us?
I know we just watched it, but I remember Barbara just running into him in the house.
No, they're it's on the front porch, and then then they come in, and then the zombie's smashing the headlights on the car.
Robert, are you
We
Okay.
gaslighting
just watched it.
us?
No, we.
Because
I
Noah and I
thought we
remember
literally
the
just
same
watched
way.
it.
Okay,
Maybe
hang
Roll
it's
on.
back
just
the
a start, yeah.
footage.
I will pull up a public domain copy on YouTube on
It's
my phone.
not
And I'll
that
send you guys a
important.
screenshot.
But anyway,
Yeah, I
Noah,
don't.
this is probably the best casting choice in the whole movie. You get Tony
Yes.
Todd as Ben.
Oh yeah.
Which
I
is really
mean,
cool because he gets typecast so much as villains and things after Candyman. So it's kind of
yeah.
nice seeing him just be a good guy.
I like
Well, it's
when
funny because this
he-
is before Candyman? Question mark.
Yes, by a couple years. Yeah,
so I
it
guess
feels like
Candyman kind of
stunt.
starts that.
Yeah, like this feels like stunt casting, but it's not. He's just a
Yeah,
young working actor. It just
actor.
works out that he becomes a horror icon.
So, Robert, what is your
I
favorite actor?
I said actor.
No, you didn't.
Oh my god.
I do like when Tony Todd he plays villains really well, but I do like when he's cast out of type, stuff like this. Against type rather. Already she's kicking ass. And part of it feels like we have to make up for the old version.
Yes.
So immediately we'll make her like
It's maybe
an action hero.
overcompensating, but I don't know.
To be fair, they do give her some moments of kind of panicking where you think they're gonna go there.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, she's just kind of ran around and screamed.
Mm-hmm. It does take her a little bit to get settled.
I think maybe one unfortunate thing, and this is why he's always typecast as a villain. He just has that like vibe of a movie villain.
Yeah.
It's already like, Ben, are you the villain of this movie?
But how much of that is because you've seen Candyman and a bunch of stuff where he's played the villain?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, I don't know. It's just one of those interesting questions.
And like I said, Tony Todd's great in this role, and I do like his more subdued moments. But for most of this movie, he's just yelling. This is a much angrier Ben on the edge than we see in the first one. But I like these quieter moments early on we get with him. But Noah, what timestamp are you currently at?
Right now, I'm at 1536.
Okay.
Actually, no, 1540.
Okay,
You having
I'm
some
about
trouble
there.
there, Robert?
I've already had 3 YouTube ads, so I am doing my
Oh
best to stay
man.
synced up.
That's why I watch this on Vudu.
Well, I can't,
You could.
but well, I'll try it on my laptop next time.
Yeah, Robert. There's a thing called ad blocker.
Nah,
Well, and to be fair
that's
to
illegal.
Robert, YouTube is cracking down on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
It
is
seems to be
bullshit.
working for me, though.
Is all this movie just people fighting zombies?
It is a zombie movie, after all.
Is this just a zombie movie simulator?
He's walking towards that zombie. Is this a walking simulator?
All movies, by definition, walking simulators.
Oh my god.
This guy with his body all mangled. It's pretty gnarly.
You started off like in the Christopher Walken place. This guy.
This
Yeah.
guy, his body's all mangled.
Yeah. It's interesting though in Savini's approach. Well, also one of the reasons why Savini thinks this is, of course, the MPAA happened, so he had to cut a lot of shit out to get an R. So again, I'm curious what the extended cut, but probably not as much excessive gore as you'd expect, because he actually talked about that, how he didn't want this to be as gory as the work he was known for, because he wanted to be more in the tone of the original film. And you've already seen though so far that there is a lot more gore, but maybe not as much as you expect from a Savini picture. Like there's not a lot of like blood splatter,
Well,
lingering on shots and stuff.
yeah. Just you're not going to be able to avoid like the gore the way the original did, just because times are different. Stuff.
But also the
Yeah.
zombie designs themselves, though, he wanted to kind of be more realistic in terms of like how they're decaying and some.
I hate that word. Get it out. Just stop.
But realistic in terms of corpses, though. Like we saw the guy earlier with
They are
the
walking
sewing.
corpses. There is nothing realistic about them. Stop it.
I love how John already has a problem with your point, and you're not even finished making it.
Now John's turned on Savini. He's like, fuck that guy. He's a hack.
No, I still like this movie. It's just I think that's the wrong mindset to have. They're walking corpses. You're not going to make it realistic.
No, but
No,
that's always been his approach with like dead bodies and stuff, though, because of his experience photographing shit in like Vietnam and seeing like he talked about this, how he's like, oh, I hate it in death scenes and people have like the dramatic deaths, and like he's like, no, like keep your eyes open, like so that's always been kind of baked into his approach. This is his real.
That's fine for death
witnessing
scenes,
death.
but that's what makes Friday the 13th so cool.
But I'm just saying the design of them he wanted more realistic. Obviously, surprise to some, zombies don't actually exist. This is a fiction.
What?
But just the design of them
No.
is going for realism. I think that's fine.
It also goes back to the point you were just making about how he didn't want there to be so much like sensational over the top gore in this movie.
Like big
Um,
splatter scenes.
yeah, the design of the zombies in this one is kind of in that same vein. It's just going back to the original.
Mhm. And the
Uh,
idea is these are all most of what we're seeing are like recent corpses. So
mhm.
some are decaying more than others.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think that's a good approach for a remake to take in like
hmm
paying tribute to the original while also doing something different.
Yeah, because not that this movie's trying to supplant the original, it's just trying to walk that fine line. The whole reason we're making this to, get money off of it when we can't from the original and actually own a version of it. So we want to be faithful, like we want it to be an accurate representation of that original movie, but we still want to throw in differences. Savini still wants to make it his own. Like it's walking that line pretty okay, I
Hmm.
think.
Yeah. Yeah, so far so good.
Yeah, and like this bit's really goofy with Barbara patting around the hand, but
Just pick it
it's a pretty
up.
good looking hand.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to touch that thing either.
Just pick it up.
But no, you're saying you would pick up the gory cut
A
off arm.
severed hand, yeah.
You'd probably try to eat it too, you weirdo.
I'm not a zombie.
Are you? Aren't you
Or
though?
are you?
Those zombies are
I mean,
following your lead.
they're behind me. That's just because they want to eat me. It doesn't mean I'm one of them.
Robert, what you're saying, where like everybody's at an 11. This reminds me of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. That movie's also
Yes.
at an 11 at all times.
Which I think is maybe less distracting though when you're watching it in a watch party, like talking over it with other people. When I'm just watching it by myself, I'm like, man, this is a lot.
Awesome.
This is epic.
But I do like these bits early on where we actually do get quiet for a minute. But once Cooper comes in, like it is all yelling from that point to the end of this film. But looking at early reviews of this, what I was John, you forgot by the way. Looking at early
Forgot
reviews of
why.
this, the timer.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
it's
It's
too late
fine.
now.
We'll do it in post.
Yeah. But I feel like a lot of reviews though just calling this like, oh, it's the same movie, it's pointless. Very similar to the response that Psycho 98 got. I just think these movies were made coming from different places, and unlike that film, like, yes, it's the same
This
plot
one's
and same characters,
watchable.
but I think it's more watchable. It'd be like it's not using the same dialogue, like it is still an updated script, and it is shot differently. I think it's a little disingenuous to say like that film, like to call this a shot for shot remake. Like, not really. It's just very
Not.
faithful. Yeah.
That's part of the reason why that remake is a lot more infamous, and
Hmm.
I guess this one's a little bit more forgotten.
Yeah.
Just because this one isn't as controversial, and
Right.
it didn't make that awful mistake of just doing a beat for beat remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all pretty subdued so far.
Yeah.
No,
Uh.
it's at an 11 at all times.
Oh, we'll
Tony
get there.
Todd, he's screaming right now.
Oh, he'll get there. Don't worry. They do a really interesting thing with Barbara's wardrobe, if you pay attention. Like, it's a very deliberate choice how her wardrobe changes throughout the movie. We always see her changing something about her outfit, like putting on the socks and boots in this scene. Um, like you guys said earlier, it's definitely kind of making up for the original. It is a more quote unquote like feminist modern take on Barbara, but I think it works. And I don't think it's like beating you over the head with it. It's just this is just a more confident character has her shit together, and I think that's fine.
The main thing I've noticed is that shirt she's wearing is like 6 times too big for her. And Tony Todd is like either sweating
out of his
or
eyes.
nodding. I don't know which.
He is sweating from every orifice of his body.
He was just crying a second ago.
There's the gas pump.
Gasoline.
Oh my god. That picture looks kind of like that zombie guy.
From that one movie.
You don't think they could be the same person?
Oh my god.
I don't think now's the time to be smoking, Ben.
Have you ever seen this film, Thank You for Smoking, that hasn't been made yet? But let's sit down and watch it.
Oh, yeah,
That's
that
not a horror
controversial
film.
movie. Nobody said it was. The horror is Aaron Eckhart's career.
What do you mean? I Frankenstein was peak.
Yeah, sure.
I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it was.
No, I believe you. I've seen the trailer. I bet it is peak.
Fun fact: I own that movie on Vudu. I got it in like a free code, and I never watched it.
But,
We'll cover it someday.
and like I said, this movie has the same plot as the original, but this is one of those little changes I like, where in the first one, Ben finds the gun in a closet, and here it's this guy who lived here, shot himself. It's just a different little moment
That's
that I
pretty
think
grim.
works. Oh yeah.
When do you guys think we'll try to remake this again?
Oh, well, I'm sure we'll knock out a few more. Fine. But I do think, though, that original film, compared to something like Psycho, which, like, I'm not saying there isn't a good remake of that you could make, but I think just the difference between Psycho and Dead is Psycho has such a specific script, and is all built around that twist that you just can't replicate that experience. You have to do something different with it. This is such a broader concept, this is more of a high film to begin with, that I think there is more wiggle room doing an update of. So at least to me, it's not as sacrilegious or much of a bad idea. But maybe that's just me, or it's just like, well, this got the remake and the Psycho remake was awful. Maybe that's just what we're comparing.
Wild!
I don't know.
There's a Night of the Living Dead unofficial remake that takes place in England.
Of course.
It's called Shaun of the Dead.
No, it's called Night of the Living Dead Resurrection. They went
Isn't that
full.
redundant?
Night of the Living Dead Resurrection.
I
The
love
Living Dead Resurrected.
I love that the tagline is when the sun goes down, the terror begins, and then you won't stay dead.
That sounds fine.
I want to watch it.
Those
John,
generic taglines.
Why did you try to be immortal?
To live forever.
this Cooper actor.
He is so much more an asshole in this.
He's already hamming it up.
Oh yeah, like he's not bad. I do enjoy the performance. Like the movie does succeed at making you hate this guy. I just prefer more of the nuance from the original.
No.
Yeah, why is he already so much more punchable?
And they make a deliberate choice of him going to the fridge for a beer. So you gotta have that in there. It's like, oh god, he's drinking too.
To be fair, like how we were talking about in the original, I don't think it's so much a problem with the writing. This is just what this guy would be in the '90s or the late
Yeah,
'80s.
it's kind of that trope.
He would be a
The
less complex, nuanced person
well, like
in the
because
90s.
that movie in the '60s, you still have the very traditional family roles where the dad is like a good person that
Uh,
makes tough decisions to save, like, keep his family safe and like stuff like that. In the '80s, it was the dad is the asshole.
Sometimes. Depends on what
At
you're
least
looking
in
for.
You know,
film.
Also,
Like,
we're talking
come on.
1968 though. That shit had already broken down.
I can't speak to that because I did not live through either the 60s or the 80s, so
So the guy that's playing Cooper was in House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects, which is where I know him from,
Yeah.
and he's also in Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Good for him.
Okay, so I've already seen him in 2 movies.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
saw Devil's Rejects?
Yeah.
He is the deputy in that movie.
Okay.
Boy, these guys sure are yelling a lot.
To be fair, Cooper started it. Oh, uh, Noah. He's also on an episode of Firefly
Oh,
Oh.
I
as
have not seen
Lund.
that show Yeah, I don't remember that character. I haven't seen that show in a very long time.
Well, it was probably season 1. Can't be sure.
Oh, you think? Yeah.
I think it was on season 2, actually.
Oh, nobody tell him.
Why
Wait.
is Tom so sad?
Oh, he's also in the Eddie Murphy Doctor Dolittle. He voices
Eh.
the German Shepherd.
Mm.
This is a character I think I do like a little bit better in this remake. Nick, I think is his name. No,
Tom?
Tom. I don't know where I got Nick.
Nick Van Owen.
Yeah. He's in Robert. He is in Friday the 13th Part 7.
Oh,
He's
he was one
Michael.
of those guys.
I don't remember which one that is, but I'll know the minute I see him, though. Oh, he. Uh, I am pretty sure he is one of the one of the reshoots where it's just like a couple of people in the woods camping, and then Jason just shows up and murders them. But I think it because he's the one that like they're all there for the party for, and then Jason kills him first, so like he never shows up to the party.
Oh, that guy. Okay, good for him.
Yeah, he got killed by Jason.
That's an honor.
It is.
Although, I think everyone wants to aspire to have like the Bill Paxton status where he got killed by a Terminator, a Predator, and an alien.
But he
That's
never
true.
got killed by
Totally
Freddy
true.
or Jason.
Yeah, but that's pretty good too.
It's pretty good. Noah, what's your current timestamp?
Currently at 34:25.
Okay, I'm
Damn YouTube
okay.
ads.
Yeah, I'm close enough. It's fine.
We just got introduced to Tom's girlfriend.
Yeah, she's like, I'm in this movie too.
Yeah, don't forget about me.
She's in Death to Smoochie, which I've always wanted to see.
Oh, me
Oh,
too.
I really want to see that. Yeah, I've heard it's terrible, but I want to see it.
I didn't even know it was supposed to be terrible.
Yeah, it's not well
Yeah.
liked,
That's a
but
shame.
I'll watch it for Robin Williams.
Yeah, and it's directed by Danny DeVito.
Exactly.
But like, even to his wife, he's just a total asshole in this version. Like, we don't calm down here at all. It's just more yelling. And I hope you guys like scenes of them nailing and door windows, because I don't know. I feel like we did that a little bit in the and this, and that's just the rest of this movie. Like,
I was
it's
gonna say I think
pay
we
attention to
meet
that.
the other characters in the house earlier than we do in the original.
I think so too.
Wasn't it about halfway through the original when we meet Cooper?
Maybe more like a third, which I don't know. I guess that's kind of
Maybe.
where we're at too. Like I said, I just think the pacing is just a little better in the first.
Damn, calm down, dude.
From this point, like I said, I like this movie, but from this point on, it's a lot of yelling and a lot of nailing boards in doors. For some reason, that's the
Nailing
thing we
words
do
into
smash out a lot
doors.
more.
What?
Boards.
No, you said
It,
words.
You said words.
You said nailing
uh,
words into sentences.
that too.
Don't tell me it didn't happen. I saw it happen.
I'm not the guy who forgot how Ben was introduced in the first movie that we
I
just
didn't
watched.
forget. You're just gaslighting us.
You're gaslighting us,
I,
dude.
I will
That's
send
not
you the
cool.
timestamp.
Robert, that's not
It's
cool.
so funny that you guys forgot that.
I will take all of them a bunch of yo-yos.
But Noah, do you see where I'm coming from though? Where I don't know, just between like those two movies from the '60s, Psycho and Night of the Living Dead, that this one just makes more sense to remake. Not that's not to improve on, but
Um,
it's just as a broader concept. Do you see where I'm
I mean,
coming
this is
from?
I
more a timeless concept of just like humanity falling apart.
Yeah,
And you could say
I
different
was
things with
I
that. Psycho is a
mean, I
very
was gonna
specific thing that somebody is saying.
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I
It's
was
built
gonna
around
say
choice.
that Night of the Living Dead is a little bit more timeless, but I don't know, like I feel like you could do the story of Psycho now. I guess
Well, I
you
mean,
just
you
have to
can. They
change a
did.
few
It's called
things.
Bates Motel.
Right. And in a different format that gave them the opportunity to do something really different with it
But
and
I
But I
don't know if
just
you.
mean
flesh it
like a
out.
full-on remake of
Well, I
the
don't know if you
original.
know this, Noah, but the final season is just a remake of Psycho.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do know that. Yeah, I still gotta watch that show. Um, I don't know. I think it makes sense to remake either. Just the way that they went about doing the Psycho remake was very much the wrong choice.
Of
Well, and
trying
it's
to make
interesting because the
literally the
Psycho
exact same
remake
movie.
is a shot-for-shot remake, except for all the times where they try to do something a little different. They just make all the wrong choices in what they do differently.
That's true. But then I think when we fast forward to, so like I said, I like this remake and I appreciate faithful it's attempting to be to the original. That I think would have been the absolute wrong choice with Dawn of the Dead. That's the one where I think they were smart in making a completely different movie, where it's just people in a
Mhm.
mall, zombie apocalypse. That's the only thing that connects. Because I think a Dawn of the Dead remake that's trying to be more faithful of that film with its story and themes and characters sounds really dull and interesting to me. And that sounds more pointless to me
Yeah.
to attempt that. So I think they were smart in making a completely
Yeah,
different type of movie.
because I don't even think they attempt to do any of the like satirical consumerism angle of the
Mm,
original in that movie. I think it's literally just an action movie from what I remember.
yeah.
I mean, there's some of it, but like most of it's just the inherent. So they're in a mall and they're zombies.
Yeah. Oh, he wants to get in. Let him in.
Would have been. Yeah, like so I appreciate the tension and the anxiety. That there's a lack of from this point on. There's a lack of escalation. We're just at this speed constantly, and for me, it's a little overbearing, and it makes me what cut would like because it's not like we board up everything and things are fine for like 10 minutes, and then they start getting worse. It's just this. It's just zombies pounding on the in the windows, and then just got those hammers.
Yeah, nail those boards. Fortify that house.
This is what men do, and women
And
because
women.
90s.
You don't be sexist. The women can do it too.
And also, what's funny is Barbara's portrayal in this. Even that was because some critics felt Barbara was more interesting in the original, and this made her a
Weird.
typical final girl. And it's like because she's a
Oh,
more three-dimensional character with an arc.
yeah, I don't understand where that criticism's
Yeah.
coming from.
And there's nothing wrong with having a preference, but again, that's a change in this remake that I think works. Like I like the comparing with the
Well, like we
tampering
talked
camera.
about with the previous commentary, I kind of get what they're trying to do with Barbara in the original, but
Mhm.
I think ultimately this is the better decision.
Yeah, like if I have to pick one, this is the Barbara that I prefer.
Yeah, she's just more of a character.
Mhm. Yeah, in the original, she's more of just an idea of a type of person in this situation.
This Tom also doesn't look as young as he's supposed to be, I don't think.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just because in the original he looks a lot younger.
that's the thing. Is he supposed to be like 30 or 16? I'm not sure.
Somewhere in between. Oh, they're going for that old timey TV set.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the news broadcast from Shaun of the Dead again.
This is a wrinkle that I like though, with them trying to board up this house. That's a thing they added the plot is like, well, we replaced all these and the older, stronger, the older wood like that. Those are in the cellar, so I'll Cooper trying to get those. Like there's just tiny little additions, but take a chill pill, man.
His eyes are gonna pop out of his skull.
He's like a Looney Tunes character.
Yeah.
Like I said, what I like about Cooper, the original, is just he is just kind of a normal guy who, in these circumstances, becomes his worst self. But you imagine, like a week prior, was probably like a decent, like fine person. That's at least the way I read it.
Yeah.
They keep it ambiguous. Again, might be a little racist. Like, there's definitely that undercurrent you could read too. Whereas this guy probably is. Like, he's just that awful.
Yeah, I mean, I typically prefer it when characters are complex and nuanced, not just one-dimensional assholes.
Yeah,
But whatever.
but the performance is still fun. Shut up, Ellen.
Oh no! Don't slap your wife.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, he's just good at playing a cartoony
an asshole.
asshole
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
And meanwhile, John's like, "This isn't at an 11. This is a perfect
This
bidding
is a
Like,
down time."
subdued
you've seen this in other
drama.
movies. It's fine. I don't know what you want from me.
It's just so constant. Like, these people are already ready to kill each other. And we are halfway through this movie.
I was gonna say we're only halfway.
And that's where like there's nowhere else for it to really go. There's nowhere to keep escalating. It's like, yep, they're awful and can't work together, get along, and it's just isn't gonna work.
I will say, and I don't really know how I feel about this, but because this movie was directed by Tom Savini, I kind of had the expectation of it being a little bit more sensational with the gore, and or just like maybe a little bit more focused on like
Mhm.
the zombies looking different and like having like better makeup with them. So I don't know. I'm not like disappointed by it so far, but it's just not what I was expecting.
Right. That's kind of a pro and con that you don't get a lot like fun gimmicky zombies. Most of that stuff's in the
Yeah.
but he is treating this very. He's not really going for camp, which Romero really liked to play with in his movies.
And I guess that's fine. Like, I think that's why I have mixed feelings about it. It's like I respect wanting to be in the same tone as the original and like, paying tribute to it. But I also want him to bring his own, flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I
Well,
don't
and
think he's quite doing that enough. But
yeah, and again, according to him, this movie's only like 40% his vision. So
true, yeah.
you know, curious
That's
what
right.
that means or how accurate that is.
I'm really curious to see that extended cut now, if it ever comes out. I
Mhm.
guess it's being worked on right now.
But yeah, this is like the other big scene I was talking about though, where it doesn't feel gratuitous to me. It's just we're really making a point of showing Barbara putting on pants. Like that's clearly
Yeah.
a character choice of her wardrobe evolving, where she's becoming more quote unquote masculine.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, like, that's a big part, but also, like, from the beginning, like, she's got shorter hair than she did in
Mhm.
the original,
It's
so
it's a very '90s haircut.
she's, like, immediately kicking ass,
Hmm.
you know?
That's that weird again, just fashion and sensibilities where you go back to like the '60s and like that short pixie haircut, like that was the norm. That was just what was popular. And
Mhm.
then in the '90s, that's like an edgy anti-establishment thing because the '80s, I guess, were all about the big hair. So
Yeah.
going for the complete obvious, now you're the outcast or what. It's just weird how like culture in such a short amount of time those perceptions change. Where it's like, yeah, this was just a normal fucking haircut in the '60s.
Mhm.
And you like these scenes of them boarding up windows, Noah?
That zombie gave up. He's like, I'm gonna go out a different window.
Different. And but this is a bit though that they are playing a lot more in this version of the keys to the car, presumably the gas pump. That's something that's from the original that we're just giving a lot more attention into this version. Is gotta find the fucking keys. Where are they?
Oh, where's the keys?
Remember that scene 10 minutes ago when the zombie was breaking the window and that board? It's a little repetitive.
They're playing Call of Duty Zombies right now. They gotta board up the windows. Oh my god, just shoot him.
This is the other part of the movie, though, where I actually agree with Cooper. Where in the context of this film, it's like, yeah, this is all falling to shit. Let's just go on the fucking like, this isn't
But
working.
remember, the cellar's a death trap.
This is definitely not going to end well.
What? Fucking. Alright, we're throwing stuff at each other now.
But I do like though the way the zombies are directed. Like he is trying to make them scared. You know what I mean? They're not meant to be goofy or like, whoa, look at this gross effect. It's just like, no, they're just fucking intense.
Yeah, no, I can definitely appreciate it on that level.
Also, a big thing they play up in this version is Cooper still being ignorant about the zombies, where he's like, no, dead people can't walk. It's impossible. Impossible, I tell you.
Oh my god, it's Gollum.
This is a good scene. I like this bit.
Holy shit, Barb's going off.
Yeah, it's convenient that zombie just stand there,
I like
but it's
the
fine.
way she plays this, where she's like, "I say, Dad."
Yeah, it's great. It's just funny that after everything they've seen, Cooper's still in denial. Again, just making him look like more of an ignorant asshole. It's like dead people can't walk.
We have about 10 more minutes of window boarding scenes to go. So hang in there.
Yeah, and it just again, that's part of my issue with the pacing. It just doesn't feel that repetitive in the first one, or like it goes on for that. It's just like, yep, you're still doing this.
There's the naked zombie in this one.
Oh, we already saw zombie guy ass.
Oh, but that was a dude.
Where's the lady?
Where's the later? That was a really hairy dude.
Yep, they're still going. Like I said, I'm not even saying it's poorly executed. It was just like a scene in the first one, and this one it feels.
No, that one I can agree with. Like some of that stuff goes on too long.
Robert's just really trying to get John to agree with him. Acknowledge this bored scene. No, it does say something that's like the main thing we have to talk about right now.
What's making that sound? It's like
Why is
voices coming from a box.
Oh, it's like some sort of television set.
We made Cooper that ignorant. He's like, he's fucking magic. Boxes can't talk.
Pictures can't come from boxes. Dead can't walk the earth.
Like, we're gonna do that in this scene where he's like, people, like the guy on the TV's like, people walk around dead. That's impossible. Yeah, I know it's impossible. Like, it's really weird that they play that up.
You saw it with your face. Why is this TV black and white?
Because it's old.
Is it a homage
Yeah.
to the original movie?
Like, yeah, they say it's preposterous. He's like, oh, right. Whew. I am the
I'm
sick
gonna
one.
put an end to this black magic.
He almost did the line from Shaun of the Dead. I don't know if you caught that.
Oh, so close.
Eaten alive.
There's panic on the streets of London. Oh, sorry, we're gonna get copyright claimed.
No, what
Whoa,
is?
Tom Savini jump scare. Or, uh, what's my
Yes.
timestamp?
Yeah.
56:50.
Okay, I'm like 20 seconds behind. They just dropped the TV. And now they're fighting. This movie is 30% nailing boards to windows and 50% arguing. Not badly done, though. They're good. These are good performances.
Didn't even some shit in a basement, dickhead.
That's a good line, and again, one of those bits where I think they are trying to portray him as nuanced, but he's just such an asshole you don't care even when he's right.
It's like they just decided to make him a more nuanced character midway through the movie.
Oh my god, I just saw a zombie guy with a ponytail. He looked very 90s.
Is there gonna be a mullet zombie?
Oh, there should be.
Mullet Superman. There he is.
Oh my god. That is a gag I like a lot though, with her stabbing like the little cross thing to him. Like I said, I prefer Cooper in the original, but I do like the dynamic between Ben and those characters interplay. I do like this for.
Yeah, and I think Barbara here might be the best actor, giving the best performance out of the cast. I mean, Tony Todd's really good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a shame she didn't get to get more starring roles like this. I
Yeah,
mean,
because
she's got
she's
talent.
really good.
She
Like
really
she's
sells it.
great in this movie. Yeah. I do wonder if this was anyone's first time watching, like if someone watched this before the original. That's probably really uncommon, but I do wonder if that's ever happened.
Given that the first one's a public domain movie that is
Is
easily
widely
accessible.
available.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of the times when movies are remade, the intention is for a new audience to see it.
Well,
So
it's very telling that, and again, I'm not saying this was a bad thing, but that when we do get done 14 years later, that's not a sequel to this. That's its own thing, and I think this movie is well forgotten about by the time we got that Dawn of the Dead remake.
oh yeah.
Because
And
Dawn
that
of the
was
Dead,
14 years later too.
mhm, and that movie was a big enough hit and popular enough that there are definitely many people who saw that before seeing the and many people
Yes.
who didn't even know it was a remake.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because that movie has, I feel like, its own fan base or
Mhm.
its own kind of following separate from the original.
I do think with Dawn of the Dead, it kind of came out at the right time to really capitalize on that 28 Days Later popularity.
Yeah.
Which, even though I don't consider that a zombie movie exactly, resurrected the interest in that type of thing.
That type of genre.
Oh my god, there is a mullet zombie.
Yay!
There he is. Now we just need a 90s Nightwing rat tail zombie.
Oh, that's beautiful. Like, so I'm just curious if there are more scenes that kind of flesh out some of these characters more. That the studio was like, no, that's down. Just make it scary.
Make it
People are just
spooky.
people are just here for the zombies. They don't care about the talkie scenes. Oh my god, there is naked lady zombie.
Yeah, we just got to that, yeah. Yeah, so if that extended cut does come out, I would like to see it.
Yeah,
And
Yeah, I'm very
uh,
curious about it.
this is going to end up being, I think, a top tier remake for me. Even if it's not perfect, there's so many pieces I like.
when I would love to see, I guess, either Scream Factory or like Arrow or somebody do like a 4K set of this with the extended cut. That would be nice.
It would be.
Did he just did Tony Todd just punch that fire out?
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's the power of Tony Todd.
Dude, you're gonna see him punch a zombie later. It's amazing.
What the hell?
What the hell?
And you said this movie was more realistic.
I'm trying to remember how this happens in this.
Yeah, this is like the big scene that I think is improved in this.
To be fair,
With
that's
what's gonna
not
happen at
hard.
Gaspo. It makes a lot. It's a lot more believable. It feels less contrived, but still has a character doing a stupid thing that is retained. Can the A-Team music kick in when they're driving this truck? Kind of fun. We lost Ben. He said we lost Ben, but the subtitle said we lost a man. He lost man
Oh,
from the
YouTube's
memes.
the auto-generated closed captions on YouTube are always terrible.
I forgot you were watching on YouTube for a second. I was like, what are you talking about? The subtitles are fine.
Guys, they lost man from the Arkham subreddit. They're fucked.
I love that. Why didn't you tell me as if he wasn't just screaming his lungs off?
But this, oh fuck, we have the keys, but we don't have the key to the gas pump. fuck. So it's still stupid, but I believe more that this guy would do this and not Ben. It just happens a lot. And
Well,
he
what's
forgot about
even
the torch in the back.
no, that is much better. And what's funny is because they do that in the original too, but in the original it works for some reason.
Yeah, it. Yeah, well, he shoots the lock off and then takes off the hose. Is like,
Yeah,
it just goes around. This, he shoots it, it leaks, it breaks, sprays onto the truck, and then just explodes because of the fire. Like, it feels a lot more natural.
Tom just shot a gas pump. Is he stupid?
Yes. And Tony Todd wrestling zombies. Okay.
Why the fuck is man punching a zombie?
He starts doing just kung fu and parkour and shit. That'd be awesome.
Hell yeah. Uh-oh.
Spaghetti-O.
What happened to the girl?
What happened? Yeah, the scene is fine. I much prefer the one in the first movie. I mean, there's a little nod to it that you'll see. Where's my daughter?
hey, what's up,
Whoa.
Jareth?
Hey, Jareth.
Hello.
Oh my god. Zombie child.
Oh, it's the YouTube thumbnail. Okay, she doesn't stab her in this one.
Which I think is fine. It just happens so quick. It's like, oh, okay. That the original, that's just such a visceral sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a moment I think is a bit of a downgrade. But oh fuck. Whoa.
Open the door.
Yeah, and again, that's this is just where you get kind of that clear difference. In the original, Cooper is just kind of scared and frozen and not opening the door for him. Here, he is actively fighting Barbara while this is going on.
What an asshole.
The zombies are going after the lights.
Those are some clever girls. Was this how he dies in this version? Oh
That's what
no.
you expect.
Yeah.
That's kind of how they play it. It's like, now I have a
They
gun. Ho ho
subverted
ho.
my expectations. Oh.
Okay, let me know if I missed something. This seems kind of confusing. Do they get two guns off of this cop? Just pay attention to that, because I was kind of
Uh,
confused the first time I watched it. And if so, why does he have two guns? I'm not sure if I missed something.
okay, well now I'm curious. Let's see.
But oh, Koopa's going nuts.
Uh-oh. Sarah.
Sarah Harding. She doesn't acknowledge her dad as human. That's why she walks past him.
Okay.
Oh.
This isn't something they did in the original.
Oh fuck. They're shooting at each other. They have a common
Okay,
enemy and they're shooting at each other.
yeah. So Tony Todd had a gun from that cop, and now Barbara just picked up a
It's
gun.
just like it's a that cop had 2 guns. Okay.
Yeah, 2 guns, bitch.
Not even saying that's a plot hole. It's just weird.
Yeah, he was a dual wielding cop, Robert.
Oh my god. Like I said, this is the theme of the original, just amplified a bit. Come down to 2 humans fighting each other.
I mean, that's I'm fine with that change though, because that's something they never did in the original.
Hmm.
The conflict
Yeah.
of a loved one being turned and then having to
Yeah.
kill them. That's something obviously they do in Shaun of the Dead, but that's
Mhm.
not something you see in the original Night.
Yeah, that becomes a zombie trope that you don't really see in that first film. I guess the closest you get to that is just the mother being too scared and daughter killers because she's
Yeah,
that scared and traumatized.
but I also read that scene as there's a zombie coming towards me and
Yeah.
it's gonna kill me.
And oh fuck, it's doing it.
God, how
It's killing
Oh,
me.
fast
it's
this
doing
like
it.
second half moves. It's like we're already at the. It feels like the gas station scene just happened, and we're already at the.
Right. No, we rearranged some stuff a bit. So a lot of the big moments do happen in close succession in this version. But so that's a twist. That's a big change. Is now Cooper hiding in the attic. And I can't tell if that's a plot hole or not, because now that we have an attic, it's like, well, yeah, that seems way more safe than the cellar, because the zombies can't get up there, unless they know how to pull the thing down and get the ladder down. That actually seems way more safe. You go high and hide. You don't
Yeah,
go
they
low
have
in
a
the
high
cellar, you
hide.
go high. Okay,
High hide.
no. Ben's like, oh, fuck. So that's a change now, is now both Ben and Cooper have been shot. Noah, what is your current timestamp?
Right now I'm at an hour, 12 minutes, and 15 seconds.
Okay, so I'm like synced up perfectly with you. But God, the amount
Okay,
of
cool.
ads I've had on this thing have just been
That's rough, man.
yeah, yeah. And now we're doing this scene of them getting the zombies and eating. Where that feels like that comes a lot
Okay.
later in this version.
Okay, so this should be like a creepy, more gory scene.
It's fine, Barbara. But I also don't think Barbara in this becomes like one note, just kick ass action hero girl either. Like she's still traumatized. Like she's still scared. I still think she's a believable human. Like I said, I like her performance a lot.
Yeah, no, she's good.
That's one of the goofier zombies he slipped in there. That's holding. That's very Romero though. He did a lot in his movies where there's always some reason.
That was the most bloodless headshot I've ever seen.
Oh fuck, they're in the
This
house.
movie's pretty tame for an R.
Yeah.
Mhm.
About that's the place you at least put some blood is just when you're shooting them. It looks really weird when you shoot somebody in the head and there's no blood.
It's fine.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here in the cellar.
And that, kids, is how I met your mother.
Oh no,
Oh
wait.
God. No, wait.
Oh Jesus.
I don't want to think about that.
Tony Todd's not looking so good.
He really sells crying scenes.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's the hand.
Got another hand.
It's the same hand. I choose to believe it's the same
I
one.
know it is because he's like, I don't want to eat that. Heroin addict zombie. Okay, that's fun. No, he ate a gummy worm.
Oh, he's gonna need a rat
I don't
or a
like this bit.
mouse.
If that's a real mouse, I don't like it. Just this choice. Don't do that.
Ugh.
There's no way on a studio film.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was the 90s.
They could get away with stuff.
Let me in.
Oh my god.
This bit's great. Coming up. Just very dark and nihilistic.
I'm interested to see how they do the rest of this because I assume they take a different direction with it.
Mhm. Oh, and this movie's technically set in 1989, I guess. Batman
Well,
just
that's
came out. Now there's fucking zombies.
Batman was the start of the zombie apocalypse.
It's like, well, at least I have my cigarettes. Oh no, he found the key to the gas.
Oh, that sucks.
That really sucks.
Poor guy.
And it just the twist of the knife is like if Cooper just listened to them for 5 seconds, you know, because they found the other keys off of the dead body that were to the truck, and were like, okay, one of the two, but nope, gas pump keys were in the cellar the whole time.
I do like that bitter.
Yeah, it's extremely sad. Yeah, and now she's gone like full Ripley with her outfit.
Yeah, they should have remade Alien instead of making Alien 3 and just cast her as Ripley.
Yeah. Oh my
Oh my
god,
god.
it's Bill Moseley.
Mm.
No, I do like that there's kind of a traceable arc of like, yeah, she's kind of a fighter, but like mostly scared now. No, she's just a survivor.
Yeah. So this scene's kind of played for comedy, but I'm like, I don't know, I don't feel safe with her with these guys.
Yeah,
Like I'm still really uncomfortable. But it's fine because now it's daytime.
because now it's the Day of the Dead.
Oh my god. And this scene is very Dawn. Feels like the later movie Savini throwing a bit in here.
This is just the biker gang from the end of Dawn of the Dead.
He should have played the. Maybe he is in the background somewhere. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
Should be. But yeah, one of these guys is the same one as the reporter. So that's also know that the guy who played Barbara's brother Johnny in the he's the sheriff somewhere in here. I didn't spot him, but that is so that's fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Do you think this line is too on the nose? They're us and we're them, or do you think material? It does feel very Romero, I think.
I can picture someone saying it in one of the movies from the original trilogy.
Yeah, and I mean he did write this, come back to write the script. You know, like he was involved.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that, actually. Huh. Yeah, this is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, like I said, it's a bit of dawn and day sprinkled in there. I like it. Oh my god, they're in the Jurassic Park Jeep.
They gotta find the high hide. You have me quoting a movie I don't remember.
Hey, some people are wearing face masks this time. When was this made?
Oh.
2020?
Oh. What is this movie political now?
But this is change that I think works though, having Bart meet up with and just kind of hanging out.
Just don't kill Ben. Oh,
Oh,
fuck. Oh, no.
he's fine. His eyes are just a little hazy.
No.
Like I said, it's still a gut punch. It's just not trying to replicate the same irony from the first one.
I don't know if this works as well.
No, like I prefer the first one.
It's
But like
just
I said,
kind
it's
of.
still a gut punched. But this scene though, I
Oh,
think it's worth it
he's
for this.
alive.
Yep. He came back.
What the fuck? Dude.
There's another one for the fire. That's what sells the ending for me. That's when I like the change.
I
That's
mean,
why I
I
think it
guess
works.
this version deserved it more because he was more of an
Yeah.
asshole.
Well, it's like last she saw them, you know, these two guys were shooting at each other. And in her mind, from her perspective, like I guess you could say the wrong one lived. So she's like, fuck
Yeah.
it, I'll do it myself. And it is a
That-
dark ending for her though. Just morally,
That's messed up.
it's very messed up, but it's fine. He deserved it. And I like that all
Wow.
these other guys are none the wiser. It's just like, yeah, now we kind of respect her. She shot a zombie.
Another one for the pile.
Hmm. I just think that if you try, in my opinion, if you try to replicate Ben's death exactly from the, it just wouldn't have the same impact, like because you just see it
No.
coming.
Yeah. I just. I don't.
I still prefer the first
I
one.
don't understand the point of making him a zombie.
Well, if it's the same idea from the first one, it's just yeah, they're all infected. He died. He's a zombie now.
Oh,
Like John was
yeah.
talking about with the bite stuff.
No, okay, yeah, because I was thinking he got bit, but I forgot about that
Right.
aspect of it. So,
Like I
yeah,
said, what sells the ending for me is when she shoots. It's like, oh fuck.
yeah, that was crazy, dude. I wasn't expecting that. That,
So,
that
John,
was
how did
good.
that? Yeah, I still like it. John, how did that ending
I
fall for
like
you on this movie?
I like her killing Cooper. I don't know about him becoming a zombie and then being killed that way. I think there's something more tragic about it if they shoot him as a human anyway. But it works well enough. It's fine.
Hmm.
Right. So
But,
that's Night of the Living Dead, folks.
again, we did it.
Noah, what did you think?
I thought it was good. I think this credits music is fucking crazy, so I'm gonna
I
turn
love
it
it.
off.
It's so weird, but I like it. It's so 90s.
Yeah, no, I liked it. Yeah, it's a very interesting movie. It's not exactly what I was expecting, like I was saying earlier, but I definitely respect it for what it is. And yeah, I think like Robert was saying, it does have a few pacing issues in the middle. Ultimately, the original is the better movie.
Yeah.
Big shock. Uh, but I don't know. This is still, I think, worth watching. It's just an interesting piece of like horror film history that's
Mhm.
not often talked about as much.
It arguably does fall into that trap of a lot of what people call derivative, pointless remakes. It's just executed well enough that I don't care. Like it's a faithful remake that I think mostly works. It's not to its
Yeah,
detriment, I think. There's not enough of a different vibe in good performances changes that I like that kind of elevated a bit for me.
it gets points from me. It's just for the mere fact that it's not the Psycho remake,
Right.
and it does do something different, and but like actually good different, not like the unnecessary different stuff that that movie did.
But what if we got a shot of a sheep in the middle of the road when Ben died? I think that would really sell that moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
what if it was edited psychotically?
That was intentional. Makes it good.
Yeah,
It's like a psycho director.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Night of the Living Dead. 21st Century Film Corporation, not to be
Okay.
confused with 20th Century
Robert,
Fox.
shut up from. Are you ready to do our rankings?
Yes, sir.
Where does this fall for you? Because this came a
I
little lower than I thought it would, but that's just because I
yeah,
really like some of the other remakes on here.
I'm conflicted. I'm really conflicted. I currently like you, this is a lot lower than I expected. Uh I might put this below the crazies. I think the only one I have this over is Big Shock, Nightmare on Elm Street 2010. Uh
Wow.
because I don't know, the Crazies is a fun movie, and I think maybe more successful as a remake. I don't know.
It's more successful than it's doing its own thing.
Yeah, and I like, but then comparing this to Nightmare, it's like the Nightmare remake is faithful and derivative in some areas and doing things differently in other areas, and they're all the wrong choices.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's obviously that is at the bottom.
Still,
The Nightmare remake. Same for me. This is probably at my number one of the three that I've been on.
And even well, no, Nightmare is your number one. That's your favorite remake.
No,
What was
no.
the other
so
one that you were on?
My
My
Bloody
Bloody Valentine.
Valentine.
I'm actually surprised though that you liked that more than
I
the
liked
remake.
yeah, I like this more than My Bloody Valentine.
Okay.
I think I have to agree with you that I put this over the crazy. So even though I like this quite a bit, it is going to fall in seventh. With the only thing it being over is Nightmare.
Same here.
But maybe it's. I think it might be on the same level as the Crazies because that Crazies third act is where it kind of falls off.
Yeah, but I also that might be a more rewatchable movie. I don't know because I'll go
Probably
back
because
to
like
this a lot.
Timothy and Infant is really good.
Hmm.
All right, are you guys ready to spin the wheel?
Hell yeah,
Me.
spin that wheel. Oh boy, I'm nervous. What's gonna happen?
Oh,
On the edge of my seat.
oh, we got Friday the 13th.
Yo.
Robert, we've been waiting.
We've been waiting for you. Is that too soon after My Bloody Valentine? Probably. I don't care.
I don't either. I've been waiting. I have a 4K copy I haven't been able to watch. Uh,
Is this gonna be the first one where the remake is better than the original?
Oh,
no, The Blob. The Blob is
yeah,
better than
Okay.
the original.
yeah.
Um,
Also, yeah, I don't. That's probably a take
and
that some people might not agree with from me, but
and I think there's an argument to be made that the remake of The Crazies is better, but that's more just down to a taste thing.
Yeah, they're very different movies.
But The Blob is just like there's no argument. The
Yeah.
remake is better.
I've heard many people say, no, you don't understand the Blob, that original. It wasn't all about gore and special effects. It's about vibes, man. You had to be there. It's like, yeah, it's just kind of a boring,
you had to be there
cheap
in the
movie.
50s.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it fine. It has its place, but yeah, I much prefer that remake. So hell yeah, and a movie. I'm looking forward to a couple of commentaries so I don't have to deal with any bullshit streaming or rentals. I can just watch my fucking Blu-rays like a
Oh
Thank
yeah,
normal person. Thank you, physical media.
we
Oh,
love you,
that'll be a fun
physical
one.
media.
This is good timing too, because we're gonna be into March. We're gonna be a bit into this year, and then in summer, I think June is when we'll have our next actual Friday the 13th date coming up, and we'll do a couple
Oh
of
yeah,
those movies then.
no.
So that's good timing having those a couple months apart. So that'll be fun. No, this is a big one. Like when we first discussed the series, this is one of the first ones that came up, months ago, and finally doing it.
Yes, finally. Woo!
Long
Uh,
time coming.
so Noah, are you going to be there for that one?
I make no promises.
Keep in mind it might not be for a few weeks, just because, like I said,
Okay,
with the stand I kind of want to put off a week, so I'll probably do something else this week. We'll see. So it might not be
okay.
for a few weeks before you get it,
I'll let you know.
but we'll see. Yeah,
I'll let you know.
we'll stay in touch. But yeah, not
Okay.
knocking out a lot of big heavy hitters finally. Exciting.
So was it this and Nightmare were basically the two that you guys had in mind for when you started this series?
Yeah, maybe. I think that was just an
The
excuse to get Nightmare out of the way.
Yes, the other big one we were gonna do early before you decided on the wheel gimmick was Hellraiser. So that's the other
Yes.
Oh
big
yeah,
one we haven't got.
That's the other big one.
John and I reviewed that
A long time ago.
decades ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Friday the 13th and Friday the 13th uncut editions. If you don't own them, rent them because we're not doing the theatrical cuts for them.
I just gotta say that that double feature you guys are gonna do of those Friday movies, it's gonna be stupendous.
Yeah, perfect placement.
Yeah.
What else is there to say?
Well, chat, that has been our commentary for Night. God damn it. For Night of the Living Dead. I pulled a Noah.
This prestigious, acclaimed classic. Fuck you, we're doing Friday the 13th next, and we're excited about it.
Let's get this stupid shit out of here. Doing stupendous movie from 2009.
So we don't know the schedule yet because Robert may need to push back one of our the other video that we have planned. So I will make a community post as soon as we know what we're doing. But until then, have a good night, everybody.
Later.
Good night.